Hello, you're listening to Talk Spirit Anime Cast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined here with Chris.
Yo.
And today's episode is our Spring 2024 Anime Season First Impressions Part 3. If it ain't in this list, if we don't make it to it, it's cut. We're just not going to talk about it. Or you can find a video
it's
done
my fault.
by me. Yeah, Chris bad this week. I've been putting off all these shit. What it is basically all the shows that you kept saying, I'm going to try to get to, and I kept putting them off, and they just get to the third week, and now it's like, if you didn't get time this last week, it is what it is. So it's going to be a lot of Andrew talking. So that one guy that comments saying, Andrew needs to be quiet and let Chris talk more, you're going to hate this episode. Just turn it off. It's like, I don't care. If you don't want to listen to me, that's fine. I know, there's a fandom for Chris.
Is there?
Yeah, they're all hoping and waiting to see what your opinion is on stuff. So they're going to get ReMonster.
The only disappointed one that I'm sure is they were dying for my opinions on the new DAL5 and the movie.
Yeah, failed miserably there.
Yeah,
now they're gonna get my mediocre response to it, my not a rabid fan like Chris response to it.
It's probably good. I'm just
besides the CGI. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. But yeah, we're at talkaspirit.com. It's where all of our links are, social media links, ways to get a hold of us, ways to support us, like Patreon and whatnot. We greatly appreciate it, sports channel. But yeah, let's jump into it. Let's start things off with One Room Angel, which I think you should have watched more than ReMonster, because I don't know. We'll get to ReMonster. Yeah, One Room Angel. Let's I'm getting sidetracked. Shut up, Andrew. Just stick with the script. Studio apartment, good lighting, Angel included is a series. I think it's running on Crunchyroll, right? One Room. Let me bring up my thing. Yeah, it's on Crunchyroll. Running for 12 episodes. Studio is Okuroto Noboru. It's based off of manga, comedy, fantasy, romance, slice of life is the genres. And it opens up with Shintaro. And Shintaro is living alone, going to school, working his own job in order to support himself for his apartment. And then one day he comes to find this one girl on his balcony. Actually, just before he went to bed, he's like thinking about how, he wish he had companionship and whatnot. And his wish is granted because apparently the night before, or during that night when he's sleeping, Toa is sent by God. She's an angel sent by God to go down and kind of just live amongst the humans. There's actually, I think it was 2 different methods she can do. She can either go down there and present herself as an angel before the people and then learn that way, or she can go incognito, which seems like she ends up choosing because she falls asleep on his balcony. They get it's a mansion. He brings her in, and then eventually kind of find out, oh yeah, this is not a mansion. This is just a closet or something like. No, this is my apartment. But yeah, he's like, okay, well, chill here for the night, but go back home or whatever tomorrow. He thinks that she's crazy. She's like, I'm an angel and everything. Well, yeah, the next day he's walking home and he comes to see her, and she's walking with some random middle-aged guy. And he's like, oh, hey, did you find your father? And she's like, no, he said that he's going to bring me to a place to stay, a hotel. And he's like, no, come on with me. Like, he's probably going to take you to a love hotel. But no, he drags her back to home. And then, yeah, he eventually is like, okay, this girl's got problems. It's dangerous out there. I'll let her stay here for now until she figures things out. And then she's like, oh, thank you so much. And then she spreads out her wings. Because whenever she gets excited, she spreads out her angel wings. She's normally supposed to keep them hidden. So he's like, oh, wow, that she's actually an angel. So what kind of follows this is him just basically, she's kind of a fish out of water where she's learning about the world itself and humans. Her whole goal as an angel is to bring happiness to humans, but she doesn't know what that means. On the opposite end, he's just enjoying having her around because she's cooking for him, giving him companionship and whatnot. Eventually gets into him hiding her identity from her schoolmates. He's got a childhood friend, Tsumugi, who just absolutely loves him, obviously a childhood friend. Eventually he goes to the work that he's at, ends up getting another employee, which is Noeru. And oh yeah, she just turns out to be a Yukihime. And so she's the snow Hime kind of thing, where whenever she gets emotional, blizzard storms appear. So she accidentally does that when he finds her changing. And then
she's a Yukihime or a Yukiona?
Yukiona, yeah. Later on, it kind of turns this whole thing where Toa shows up and she's got her wings out, and so Noeru finds out about that, but then she reveals to her, so everybody kind of knows each other's secrets. Even Tsumugi comes into the picture, so everybody's kind of revealing their secrets. And that's kind of the gist of it starting out. So it's I like at some point he's going to the library to learn more about like angels and the Yuki and all that kind of stuff, and then at some point he's like, the childhood friend's like, so are you expecting to run into a kappa and stuff like that? Because he's actually looking for more books of like, mythological things. No, she says that she's normal, and that kind of upsets her because she's like, she wishes that she was something special because the other two get attention. But so far, she's just childhood friend. But we'll see. She could turn out to be a kappa. There's two other girls to show up. They could be the kappas. But it was kind of one of those funny things because I was telling Chris, I think it's turning into one of those kind of, actually I am kind of situations where over time he's stumbling upon other mythological supernaturals and whatnot.
I'm totally on board.
But yeah, my thoughts on the series so far. I hated Shintaro at first, but he's chilled out a little bit. Like early on, he is your bog standard whoa type of character. I cannot for some reason figure out that there's somebody in my apartment now. So I mean, I'm fine with it because we get to see it, but I can't figure out that I shouldn't walk into the bathroom every 2 seconds to see her changing. And then every time he does that, he freaks out and it's just his reactions to anything. Like even when she just gets that being an angel, not knowing much about people, she doesn't have those social boundaries, the personal space concept in her mind. So she gets really close and he just starts, oh my gosh. It's like, okay, chill, dude. It's not that big of a deal. It's just that whole thing of like, it's either like woman phobia or he's never seen a girl before in his life, even though he has a childhood friend that's always right there next to him all the time when he's at school. For some reason, he just can't take it anymore. That part was annoying. It sort of chills out over time, but I think what it's kind of turned into is sort of a mixture of, like I said, actually I am, where it's different supernatural and mythological creatures coming into a harem, while at the same time sort of being a little bit like the Over the Moon for You, that series kind of like in there a little bit because it's him at home and she's sort of like his wife, taking care of him and whatnot. Now I will say besides like maybe an ecchi moment per episode, there wasn't really anything really happening at all that I felt within the first 3 episodes. It was just a lot of walking in on the showers and whatnot in the bathroom, or her walking in on him when he's on the toilet. But so it's equal opportunity. But it wasn't until probably no8 came into the picture. When she first had her big reveal and the 3 of the girls were together, it's like suddenly it was working. Like out of nowhere, something just clicked. Like it was, we've always talked about this before, where sometimes it feels like early on in a series, the chemistry isn't working, and we sometimes will mention maybe this character will add a better part of the chemistry once they show up. We've seen a character in the PV or something like that. That's sort of what I'm getting a feeling of. It's like one of those series where it doesn't really work until those 3 are together. And then suddenly the comedy just absolutely just works. You have, again, Towa's revealing that she's an angel. no8 is revealing that she's this Yoki Onna. And then suddenly out of nowhere, Tsumugi just goes, oh, so well, since you guys bring it up. And then Shintaro's like, holy crap, is she something too? And then she's like, I wet the bed all the time since I was up to like age 5 or something like that. She just wanted to be a part of it. She just wanted to be a part of it. So she revealed something very secret of herself, because the idea is that they're like, hey, Tsumugi, don't tell anybody about this. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So she was revealing something about herself to be a part of this big secret. And it was just like things like that. And then later on, no8, she just starts using her powers, and her skirt's just flying up. And he's like, hey, stop, your skirt. And she's like, no, I need to get this out of my system or something like that. It just started working. The moment that those characters came in the picture, it just started working. And then right after that, I didn't mention it, but we got the introduction of Towa's Kohai, which I totally thought was going to be God. Like when I seen the OP and it had this little lolly angel, I'm like, watch that be God. It's going to be the little lolly Baba that's going to be God. No, she's just a Kohai. She was okay. Like she just had a little bit of spunk to her. It's kind of going that whole category. She's just super jealous of Shintaro because Towa's living with her and she's obsessed with Towa. So that was all okay. So like I said, it's like one of those series where it just didn't seem to do much or work for me until like halfway through it, which again, and we're technically halfway through it at this point. We're up to episode 6. I think I did episode 6. So it's one of those ones where it's like a hard sell. Unless you're just looking for a cute, fluffy harem show with the perfect waifu character. She's super cute. I do like that there's still quite a bit of funny bits before then, because there's a lot of emphasis that Towa learns everything through this like book, what was it called? the book for the good angels on how to live on Earth or something like that. And it's literally like everything she knows is from it. So she cooks something. He's like, wow, how'd you learn about this? A cookbook? No, from the good book, the book, Good Angels book. It's like everything that she knows is based on that book. It's like this textbook that just teaches them everything. So the references in that was great. Her struggles to figure out if she's making him happy. He's doing a lot for her and she wants to return it. That stuff is kind of wholesome early on. But like I said, it just didn't stand out until the halfway point. So it's kind of a hard sell for me. But yeah, unless you're really sold on ReMonster, which we'll get into in a minute, I almost want to say just stop and come back to this because you'll probably like this a lot more. Plus Tama. Or both, if you like the ReMonster.
Absolutely, Tama. But
you gotta have
I mean,
Tama.
you sold me on it in general, but yeah.
The moment that Tama showed up, I'm like, of course. It's like the moment that she spoke up, I'm like, oh, Chris. Oh, Chris. All right, record. Let me send it to Chris. Of course. All right, that's one room.
She's got what, three shows right now?
I don't know.
Seems
I don't recall what else she's in.
Seems like I heard her in a couple of other shows.
Our next show, I've been actually looking forward to talk about this for a while. This is a show where I'm like, I keep wanting to make a video on it, but I'm like, I just don't think people care. It's unfortunately one of those shows where it's like, we mentioned this in the preview. The moment that it popped up, it was like, why is this thing like number 50 of 60 shows on Mal? Like, it's just nobody is setting it as members. Nobody's looking at it. And I kind of assumed just based on how it looked, it was going to be like that gem of the season. And so far, it's turning out to be that. But yeah, that's Tonari no Youkai-san. This one is streaming on Crunchyroll, done by Leiden Films, based on a manga, slice of life supernatural. I will note, I think there's only like 4 volumes. And I think when I looked into it, it pretty much looked like 4 episodes or so was covering 1 volume. So this does look like a full adaptation. It's complete. The manga's complete. It looks like it's on track record to do the whole thing. So not solid there, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be a full adaptation. But this one follows. This takes place in a rural town where essentially mankind and yokai live side by side. And it's like a natural thing. Like you're walking down the street and a yokai or a Baka Kitsune is there and you're like, oh, hey, how's it going? I hope you're doing well today. It's just a natural thing in this world. But yeah, we follow multiple perspectives. One of the perspective is from the human side of the thing, which is through Mutsumi. And she is the daughter of someone who has recently disappeared. They're trying to figure out what happened to him. They're kind of thinking he might have been spirited away or something like that, but they're trying to find out where he went. At the same time, while she's struggling with that, and even going so far as to assume that he's probably dead, she's going through these struggles while being supported by sort of a replacement father figure, which is a Crow Tengu. There's a Crow Tengu in the area that is sort of the protector of the mountain, and he's sort of placed himself there to support her because she's obviously dealing with that. And you're still getting like a lot of yokai perspective, especially through Jiro, which is the Crow Tengu, and his duty to protect everybody and whatnot, and his relationship with Mutsumi. On the other side, you're seeing mostly is our perspective of the yokai is Buchio. And Buchio was a regular family cat, but then one day just suddenly turned into a Nekomata. Suddenly, out of nowhere, sprouts 2 tails, and he's able to talk. And so what we get from Buchio's side is sort of this... I know somebody joked about it, but it kind of technically fits. He's having an existential crisis. He's trying to figure out what is his purpose. Why is he a Tengu? He's learning about what it means... Or not a Tengu, sorry. What it is to be a yokai. They kind of establish that every yokai is birthed by a desire. Like there is some sort of purpose that they are born. And it seems like Buchio is kind of figuring out over time that is to be with his family because his family saved him. Like I think the mother found him being attacked by birds on the side of the road. She saved, brought him in, took care of him. He became the family cat. Everybody loves him. And as he got older, at some point, he just became a Nakamata in order to stay with them. So it's him discovering what it means to be a yokai, what their purpose is, and learning more about the world through the eyes of a yokai. So it's pretty cool stuff there. We also get like a brief moment with Akapa, this girl that really, really likes this boy in her class. And she just like, every time she gets emotionally embarrassed or whatever, just like her top pops. Like the top of her head just poofs. But yeah, she's trying to figure out some way to confess. And then they end up going to Hanako in the bathroom. And she's like some master love expert and trying to give them advice. So that was cute.
Naturally, Toilet Bound Hanako would be expert in love.
Yeah. And it kind of builds into this whole thing where the bigger majority of the story was really around Mutsumi, and it seems like, again, her father being missing. There's this weird cloud that's in the forest that it seems like Mutsumi can see, even though she shouldn't be able to see it, which is supposedly, according to Benmaru, is like he's the way that he describes it is that he used to be that. He used to be this dark cloud that would go around and chase people down, and it's like, I guess, a yokai that doesn't have a purpose becomes this cloud, and it kind of suggests that his father might have been consumed by that. I don't know. That's kind of the weird oddity area that I haven't really got too much into, but yeah, my thoughts on it. Visually, it's got a great style to it. It's very beautiful, very... I wouldn't say it's like full-on like picture book storytelling type of style to it, but it's got a nice soft tone to it. The character designs themselves are very unique. But I think where this series is obviously grabbing me most is that kind of Natsume's Book of Friends concept, but not so much. Like Natsume's Book of Friends, I, by the way, absolutely love. Cannot wait for the next season of that. It does well in kind of telling individual stories about yokai and how they can... having the main character sort of resolve them. Each one of them somehow is tied in with his grandmother, and then he resolves their issue, and it tells some really beautiful story. This one seems like it has more of like a through-line story. From the very beginning to the end, it seems like it's going to be about Mutsumi, her loss of her father, if he's gone at all. Again, Buchio learning his purpose. It's just basically this town in its current time and this struggle that everybody's going through. So it's got the feeling of like the whole yokai existing, but not necessarily Natsume's Book of Friends. And that's not a bad thing. I think the stories told so far are fantastic. I will admit that every now and then it feels like it gets a little melodramatic because you'll have situations like Yuri just suddenly out of nowhere just flips out on Buchio and gets angry. But it's sort of trying to, I guess, explain it in that it's just her kind of purpose or like her way of thinking that makes her kind of just flip out, seemingly being jealous of Buchio and his relationship with his family, whereas she seemingly didn't have a good time with her family, like they may have exiled her or something like that. She doesn't want to forgive them. Each individual stories is doing well, and I think a lot of my enjoyment really is around Mutsumi and her dealing with her missing father. Like, even had this one moment where they essentially during this one ceremony, this creature that she kind of designed, I guess, would bring people from the afterlife, and those ghosts would come to their house and they would have dinner together. And I think the grandfather came, but then Mutsumi was waiting to see if the father came too. And then she's upset about it because, he wasn't able to find father. And the grandfather literally comes in as a ghost, puts his hand on her shoulder and says, don't believe that your father's dead. You would hurt his feelings or something like that. And it's just like a very like, oh my gosh, it kind of hits me in the stomach kind of moment there, where it's like that aspect of the dead telling her don't to write off her own father, even though she's assuming the father's dead. So it's got these like really good punch points. And again, Jiro's relationship with Mutsumi is fantastic. His job in order to defend the mountain while at the same time, struggling with protecting Mutsumi is always a big deal as well. So I love Jiro and Mutsumi's relationship is fantastic. So Yuki, you're already snoring?
What did I say that I watched?
What?
Did I tell you I watched Konosuba?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Random.
I wasn't sure if I'd said that or not.
I'm loving it so far. I've pretty much watched it up to like a big pinnacle point, which I think is like 4 episodes in. So I'm going to be very curious to see what else it does. I'm going to assume that maybe there's like an arc per volume or something like that. But I'm loving it. I think it just got a great vibe to it. I love Buchio's struggle. Love Mutsumi's character. Love Jiro's great. So I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. So like I said before, I think it's got a Natsume's Book of Friends vibe, but I don't want to sell it as that because I think Natsume's Book of Friends obviously like pretty much a perfect show. Whereas I don't think this is quite there to be perfect, but they definitely got similar vibes. So I suggest if you like that type of show. All right, ReMonster. Let's I'm curious to see how Chris is liking ReMonster. Apparently oh, there it is. Okay. I was like, I thought I put the screen over to the right here. But yeah, ReMonster is running on Crunchyroll, running for 12 episodes, done by Studio Dean, the source of light novel, action, adventure, fantasy. And this one follows a guy who, in some world where apparently he has skills and whatnot, and people fighting each other in constant wars, he literally is like, I'm not even going to tell you what my name is because I'm dying right now. And yeah, he's literally getting stabbed to death by some crazy chick with a lightning blade or something like that. And he wakes up in another world. He's reborn into another world as a goblin. And thankfully, Goblin Slayer didn't make a visit, so he grows up in this other world as a goblin. They have this old man goblin that comes over and feeds him every now and then. Very quickly, he decides to go out and to, look at what's going on the outside of this cave, where he starts to hunt with his friend Gobukichi. Gobukichi is like, he chose him just because he looked like he was the strongest, and he would be a good person to kind of distract the monsters while he kills them. But yeah, at this point, he kind of reveals that he does have a secret ability, and that ability did seem to transfer over to his new life. In his previous life, some people were blessed with different skills, and his skill was basically, if he consumed the flesh of something, he could gain skills from it. And sure enough, in this new world, he's able to do that. He eats something, and he's getting skills from it. So yeah, he keeps bringing Gobukichi out there, and they're killing, and they're leveling up like crazy. Like, they get back to the place, and they check their level, and they're like 80 or something like that out of 100. Once they get 100, then they'll actually be able to evolve up to like a hobgoblin or whatever. And yeah, he starts doing that, gets up to that point, evolves into a hobgoblin, starts at some point having the other goblins attack them for the food, and then he decides at some point to actually start bringing them food and also train them. And it kind of turns into him basically becoming the leader of the pack. Starts building them up until eventually, yeah, the grown-ups, the ones that already evolved, that went out hunting, come back, and they already have, like, a whole bunch of human women to come back to breed more women. And at that point, he's like, I know that it's, like, their whole system, and they breed this way, but I don't like it. Like, instincts are there, but I'm not liking this. So he decides to challenge the leader. Or it was going to turn to a civil war, but then somebody's like, hey, why don't you just fight? You two fight. And sure enough, they do. And, of course, he beats the crap out of the guy and takes over the tribe. And then it turns into them going out and getting invited by some kobold to go down into some ruins where their master's treasure is, and they save it from the humans. And then the elves come over and they attack them. They beat the elves and trap them. And then the regular elves are like, hey, help us with the humans. And they're going to help them with the humans. And
she was a carbuncle.
All that kind of stuff. Carbuncle, yeah. Why was I thinking kobold? It's not a kobold.
The kobolds came in later. But
yeah, there was kobolds. Yeah, there was kobold at some point. I don't know. For some reason, my brain just went Cobalt, and I know it's not Cobalt. So yeah, your thoughts on day 3? I should have actually done that.
I think we're on day 15.
So ReMonster, what it's about is this guy. He dies day 0. He dies and he's born in this other world. And then day 1, and he just gets some food from the old man. Day 2, just okay, anyways, go. I'm already getting to my complaint.
Okay, I'm not
24. The anime. Jung 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 jung.
I do like this show a lot. I do have some complaints. I think my biggest complaint is that the skill raising thing, which I think that they're doing okay with kind of speeding it up a bit, but it is still kind of annoying. It's one of those that you just kind of, after a certain point, it's like, you kind of just, okay, hurry up. I know he killed something new and he's eating the flesh. That means I'm going to get a list of skills. I got it. Move on.
It's like reincarnated as a slime's episode, but the entire show. Not really, but it's kind of like that.
But in general, I do kind of like the concept. I do kind of want to see where they're going to go with all this. It does feel like we're getting to some kind of a inflection point with the humans, so it'll be interesting to see where we go from there. But yeah, for sure, in general, I do really like it. I think that it does have just a lot of fun with just toying with monster evolutions and just variants and stuff like that. It seems to be kind of the strong suit of this one, is that they're really trying to toy with different characters and doing different variants of evolutions of goblins. And so I'm really kind of enjoying it for right now.
I like the show for 2.5 episodes. And then I think from that point on, I'm just not feeling it anymore. I thought early on it was a really great take on sort of a reincarnated as a slime thing, which, yes, disclaimer, it is apparently came out before Reincarnated as a Slime. I'm not claiming that it copied Reincarnated as a Slime. There's your disclaimer. Please don't at me unless you just want to leave comments, and it feeds me. But no, it just feels like it's going for like a Reincarnated as a Slime concept where he's reborn as this goblin, which I was like, I'm on board. I like this idea of being reborn as a monster, and it was going very much so into the idea of him, raising up the tribe. I mean, he's got the tribe, he's leading them, he's building them up, he's getting them stronger, he's training them, and he's leading them. It was really cool. And then it wasn't shying away from the aspect of, yes, technically they're bringing in the humans, and the humans are supposed to, breed them children and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't really shying away too much stuff, except for the fact that it skipped a lot of content apparently, so that it wasn't showing too much of the bad stuff. Like, technically, very early on, he finds out that his mother is technically in this storeroom. That's where they keep the humans. And apparently, and it made sense because it was right after he learned the venom ability. He apparently went in there and gave them the poison that they could take if they wanted to take it. And it just kind of glosses over it. They died. And then they go and they burn the bodies. And the new women come in and it's like, okay, well, I don't want them to touch them. Cut forward, then suddenly it's all about the elves and trying to get them over their ear problems. So I decided to help them with their issue with their ear problem, and it just cuts away, and apparently he banged them. I don't know. It's not shying away from the fact that he's got his instincts, and it just kind of happens. Like I joke about all the time. Yes, technically his first experience in this other world is that he was traveling around and stumbled upon a dryad. And he used his libido skill and basically went at it for 5 hours. It's just, okay, that's rare in anime. He just went at it for 5 hours with a dryad. And she's like, please come back.
And then all the girls were mad.
And then,
at him.
Suddenly they see a hickey. Like, they're all mad. And I'm like, well, would they smell it or something like that? No, he's got a hickey. And so they all want him now because they've seen a hickey. I don't know. It kind of does it. And I was liking it for that. And then, like, episode 3 onward, it was just like, let's start off with the visuals. It tanks real quick. I think the first episode looked really good. Like, I was actually surprised with how good the first episode looked. Second episode, it's like suddenly it's just dropping like 3 points. And then 3 onward, it's just like, it's mostly a slideshow. It's like, it looks like characters are moving, but it's actually like just kind of like panning out, zooming in and out, and moving characters like this and that, and mouth flaps. It's like visually, it's just not doing anything anymore. Structure. I was fine early on with the structure. Day 15, this. Day 16, this. It was given this process of like, this is my life here, and this is on what I did on day 5, and there was enough in each of the days that worked. But when you get into episode 3 and onward, it's just literally like, it feels like the whole show anymore is day something, then a still or maybe a couple shots from some certain random location that he's killing something, and he's narrating over it saying what he got. It literally turned into, at some point, just nothing but day, I did this, I got this skill. Day, I got this skill. Day, and it just, what are we looking at, like the Reader's Digest version of it? Is this the My Anime List summary of what the show is? Is this a TV show or is this a summary? It's just, at some point I'm like, I am losing investment because I don't get to experience the journey. I'm seeing the cliff notes. Like, I'm literally seeing the subtext down at the bottom that tells me what happened in the episode. Like, it almost feels like you're going to like Crunchyroll or something like that, and you click on the episode and you have that little summary in the bottom. I can get the same experience just reading that. It's just, at some point it just fell apart. And like I said, visually it just started kind of falling apart as well. I just got to a point some point where it was a cross between, I just wasn't enjoying it anymore, even though I was so pumped for the show. Like, I was excited for it. I was like, this is just a really fresh take on this, and I want to see more. And then started losing it, but then at the same time having people tell me that they're skipping this or that, and it feels like they're rushing the light novel, and I'm like, I mean, it feels like it. Like, if somebody asked me before I heard that, do you think they're skipping content? I would say, hell yeah. There's no way. No, there's no way somebody would read a novel that is paced out like this. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Unless this is like, rushing something to get to the big plot line.
Yeah, I'm assuming that they're trying to get to a bigger point. That maybe that's what the because he's now officially created a mercenary group. So I'm assuming that they're just building up to the point where that they can actually just handle that and maybe that's the main story that they're trying to get to. And so, but they felt like they needed to get through these story beats really quick.
Yeah, which
kind of sucks because it took them 6 episodes to get through all those story beats. Or
yeah, that's kind of one of those areas where I kind of feel like they probably just messed up where they would speed up, because there's a good way of doing that, and that's kind of, I guess, balancing it, where you'll have like, yes, there's going to be these skip forward points, but my argument there is like just kind of expand certain points and then just cliff note the rest of it. Like you can have some of these sections that they're kind of skimming over, expand a lot more, and just summarize the rest of them and just make it a lot more better paced, rather than it just being, like I said, day, rapid fire, which is just doesn't work. I'm sorry. I can confirm it doesn't work. So yeah, I don't know. I'm at the point now where I'm just like 80% sure I'm probably just going to drop it and just not worry about it, because I ain't got the time, and there's so many other shows that I would rather watch. Like I was joking about earlier, I'd rather watch One Room Angel than this show. Or Appraisal Skill. That one's doing a lot more unique stuff than this one, which sucks. Like I said, it felt so good early on. Like I was like, this is so cool. I love this idea. Like I said, it's kind of like Reincarnated as a slime, but like just so tribal. Like it just felt more tribal. Whereas slime is kind of speed running to like modern living. This one was like all tribal, in a cave, surrounding a pile of meat, and they're just consuming. My gosh. Animation with eating, they're doing perfectly fine with that animation. I hated that. Like at some point, like I think it was in episode 3, I'm like, wow, this is turning into a slideshow. And then they go to eat meat, and I'm like, take this guy and make him work on the rest of the stuff. Like whoever's working on this meat eating scene right here, unless they just copy pasted it. I don't know. I didn't look. So big disappointment for me. But are you still on board with it though? Yeah. I'm glad I suggested it if you're enjoying it. Yozakura is another another show I'd rather watch instead of ReMonster. Mission Yozakura Family, Yozakura-san Shi no Daisakusen. This one I think is going for 2 total cores. Studio is a Silverlink. Is a manga. It's based on a manga, action, comedy, romance. This one follows a boy named Tayo. And in the opening of the show, he has just recently lost his parents, and I think his sibling as well, to a car accident. He's lost his entire family to a car accident. And as he's kind of getting over the loss, he's being comforted by his childhood friend Mutsumi, who's like his neighbor. And one day, as he's kind of moping, he's not moping, but he's still getting over his trust issues, and he's still hurting. And he has his friends are cool. His friends are trying to kind of get him to go to the karaoke or something like that with them, hang out. But he keeps kind of like getting anxiety, and he'll start foaming at the mouth, and they're like, okay, sorry, dude, we don't have to. You don't have to. But then Mutsumi comes over and it's like, oh, you should try to get out more. And she's trying to help him out. And eventually this random teacher just pops up, and she's like, oh, Koichiro sensei, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be overseas or something like that. And it's like, oh, no, I couldn't be too far away from your cooking for that long. Hey, Tayo, I need you to come by my office after school. It's like, oh, crap, what did I do? So Tayo goes to the teacher's office after school, and yeah, the teacher sits him down and goes, I really like Mutsumi. Here's my picture. Oh, see this picture right here? This is when she was at the school festival. Isn't she cute? And then he's like, oh, yeah, and here's when she's, here's when she was 4 years old. Doesn't she look so adorable? And he's like, wait, why does this guy have pictures of her when she's 4 years old? He's like a massive stalker. Yeah, and that's when suddenly Futaba, this little, like, goth Lolita chick, shows up and whisks Tayo away back to their house. And this is where we get the reveal that, yes, Mutsumi is part of the Yozakura family, and they are a family of spies. And it seems like they're going through troubles because it seems like there's like so many like budget spies out there that they barely get work anymore, but they're spies. And they're actually like a part of like a family bloodline where each generation, the people born in that generation will have different abilities. And there'll always be one child of that generation that won't have any abilities. And in this particular generation, it's Mutsumi. She has no secret abilities, while as every one of her siblings has some weird ability that they have. And their whole thing is that whenever that one that has no abilities is born, they have to protect that one. I mean, they have a family motto about protecting their family members, never kill family members, but they have to specifically protect that one child because they will be the head of the family. Because when they produce a next generation, only that one that has no abilities will carry on those with those abilities. So again, like I said, Futaba, who's this crazy chick that has like all these, she's like super strong. If she were to have children, she won't pass on her abilities. It will be passed on by Mutsumi. So that's why she's the head of the family. But yeah, anyways, we come to find out that teacher is actually one of the siblings, and he's really, really protective of Mutsumi. Apparently, in some time in the past, he goofed up during a mission. She nearly got killed, so he's become super protective of her, to the point where he wants to kill Taiyo, because he believes that Taiyo is trying to kill Mutsumi, because she's the head of the family. Because everybody wants to kill the head of the Yozakura family because they're so powerful. So yeah, it turns this whole thing where they're like, hey, we'll try to stop him, but we're probably not going to be able to stop him. I think the only option you really have is to marry Mutsumi so that you can become part of the family. That way he can't kill you because that's part of their rules. And so yeah, they're being chased around the mansion for a while, and then eventually he's like, okay, it seems like he kind of understands the brother because he's afraid of losing something, whereas, you know, Taiyo has just recently lost his family, and so he's afraid. He recognized that Mutsumi is going through all of this, yet she's always supporting him. So he decides, okay, I'll marry Mutsumi, and takes her ring and becomes a part of the family. What kind of follows that is him learning about the Yozakura family, doing training, lots of training. At some point realizing that he's kind of being turned into bait to get to Mutsumi, so him trying to protect her. Eventually realizing that this Koshiro guy, the brother, is kind of cool. I like one little quote they had was like, in this world where you can't even trust your own self in the world of spies, there's one thing you can trust: family. He's like, I hate you, I want you dead, but I'll risk my life to protect you because you're family. And it was like, okay, this guy's kind of cool. But yeah, that's basically the gist so far. I'm enjoying it. I'm really actually very surprised how much I'm enjoying this show, and I think that's really because, yeah, like going to earlier jokes about one room angel apartment, at least Taiyo's not a total spaz. Like he's pretty cool and pretty chill.
Did he actually get with the girl?
Yeah, like right off the bat, first episode, he married her.
Okay, he married her, but did they get past hand holding?
I mean, she's constantly just like, you know, pretty huggy and whatnot. It seems
okay, so they're hugging.
They kind of established pretty quickly this idea.
So we're at half base right now.
Yeah, at least they're going down towards the plates, unlike a lot of other shows. But no, they established really quickly, like, on one end, he's kind of upset that she's being pushed into marrying him and all that kind of stuff. But she's like, no, that's fine because I had already chosen you. Like, she's like literally telling him, I already had my sights set on you. Like, this is fine with me. This is exactly what I wanted. Whereas on the other end, he really wants to protect her and wants to be at her side. So they've established that stuff pretty quickly. And I guess the whole thing is that it's shifted so quickly to survival mode that it doesn't really have time to really kind of have those dumb, constant will they, won't they moments because they're already established, but now they're trying to stay alive. So I guess it's because there's so much focus on balancing the next target coming after them, while at the same time having these brief little moments where you establish their relationship is really helping out. Again, technically, they've been childhood friends for a long time. They know each other, so it's not like we have to establish this stuff already. It's already there. And I think that's kind of helping it work out. Plus, yeah, childhood friend won.
There you go.
It's a rare moment a childhood friend has won. Andrew's perfectly fine with it. But no, Mutsumi's great. I think she's super cute. She's got a great personality. And like I said, I really like that she's not forward, but she's not afraid of getting in there and grabbing. Like when they blow up his house, he needs a place to stay, so they bring him into the mansion where they live. And when they get to the door, the brother's obviously standing at the door, and he's super jealous and angry about the whole situation. And she's just like, what does it matter that he comes in the same house? And she just grabs his arm and is like, we're married. What's the matter, kind of thing. And again, Taiyo doesn't go, whoa. He's just like, okay, yeah, sure. He's not like thirsty. He's not a thirsty boy, but at the same time, he's not like, again, girl phobia. He's comfortable with her because they've always been together. She's always been at his side. I like that. it's sad to say freshness in a rom-com type of series. I think it's nailing it. The comedy's pretty solid. I won't say it's like a hilarious series, but it's working. I like the chemistry so far. They just have a good cast of characters that are just kind of just working. I'll be curious how well they'll do with each of the characters. I mean, Koshiro's backstory, again, is like the whole aspect that he messed up and really got Mutsumi dead, or killed or hurt. And then you have, like, they went a little bit into Futaba, who seems to be a lot about strength, but then now kind of through Taiyo is learning that love is an important thing as well. I'll be curious to see if they do something decent with each of the characters, but it's been doing well. I think my only argument is that, at least, like, I don't remember what episode it was. I think it was episode 3. There is times where it feels like they establish a joke and they keep doing the joke. Like, one of the episodes is literally him training in the mansion because the mansion has, like, an insane security system, so he got to learn to survive. The food they eat is always has a dash of poison in it. That way they can build up their immunity to poisons. So he's constantly having to go use the restroom. The restroom has a padlock system that you have to break in order to get into the bathroom, and so he's constantly trying to break the lock while he's got to go. And it's like dodging all the missiles and the traps and whatnot. And it just felt like it kept doing that over and over again. I'm like, you could probably have done this in like maybe a quarter of an episode and then moved on to the next story. So there's times where it feels like the pacing's a little bit off, but it's got promise. I've been enjoying it more than I really thought I would in the end. So it's a solid for me. Hopefully it holds. Hold the line. Don't fall apart. Speaking of DAL5, speaking of rom-coms, rom-com, action comedy, I don't know, romance action comedy, I guess. DAL5, yes, we're on the 5th season, and Chris is shamefully not caught up, which is interesting, but I don't blame him. He's got priorities, like his dogs and stuff. But no, I've been keeping up with it. We are, I don't want to say like 3 or 4 episodes in at this point. We're going up against Westcott. They're trying to stop him. I mean, for a while now, we've been building up the story about Kurumi sort of sacrificing herself over and over again in order to save Shido. Kurumi's after Origin. We're getting a little bit of insight into the Origin itself. This big battle is brewing up that we're trying to figure out a way in order to, take on Westcott and their team for a while now, but they figured it out finally. They went on to fight them. Tons of CGI waifus are flying all over the place, shooting each other. CGI waifus here, CGI waifus there. At some point, CGI Shido pops up and starts blowing kisses and taking down waifus. That was kind of funny, actually. He figured out that he could just it literally kills them. Or at least the Nevocoil, whatever they're called. The ones from the book. But yeah, and at some point, he finally confronts Kurumi. At which point, something comes out of Kurumi, and then we start seeing some backstory where Shido, I think, met Origin. I think it was Origin. And then at some point, something bad happens while they're trying to chase down Origin, and then he became impregnated into her or something, as I'm guessing what they're implying there, and then that's when the episode ends. So I'm assuming it's the story about how he technically died, but then was like gone into her to be born again as her child or something like that. We'll see. But yeah, more Kurumi. That's all that matters, right?
Right.
I was kind of technically opening that Chris was actually watching this show because what was it, like 5 or 6 years ago? It feels like forever ago. Chris at some point got me into watching all of DAL5. I think it was like to prep for season 4. I want to say it was just before season 4. I got caught up.
No, it seems like season 3.
May have been. But yeah, I think I got caught up before they got into the whole thing with Nia and all that kind of stuff. I'm fine with the series. Kotori, best girl, by the way. I'm fine with the series, and I think it technically works, but I think my issue has always been that at some point it just stopped working for me. And I think that was probably, some point in the last season. Because at some point it got too many character syndrome. At some point it just got too many character syndrome where it felt like there's this horde of waifus following him everywhere. It's like this crowd of people just following him around wherever he goes. And then whenever a situation happens, he says, hey guys, look at this. And it cuts over to the crowd, and each one of them take turn going, with one line saying what they think of the situation. And that kind of was killing it for me. Now, whenever it had him kind of just go on his own, it worked fine. I like the whole segment with Nia in the previous seasons and all that kind of stuff. Each individual character introduction works. It's just when they're all together and they have like a common goal, it kind of starts falling apart for me. The only saving grace this season for me that is really kind of pulling it away from that is that, yes, they're facing off against the big bad. Kurumi is over here and he's trying to work out with things out with Kurumi. And then, yes, her whole desire to take down Origin, which I think I understand. It's been, it's like one of those shows where it's like, I think I know what's going on, but at the same time, I'm not going to rewatch the show. If I get it wrong, I don't care. It's one of those shows where I just don't have a desire to rewatch. If I'm going to rewatch a show right now, it's going to be Monogatari because we have the season coming up. It's fine. I like the moments with Kurumi. She's slowly, I think after the whole situation with showing the resets that were happening, Kurumi started growing on me. I'm more of a fan of the more frilly one, not the main one, but it's working fine. I'm enjoying it. I'll be curious to see what they do with this whole backstory stuff, which has definitely intrigued me. I think they've already kind of established the whole thing with Rine, and I'm sure that's going to tie in with it, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm enjoying it. I like at some point they're trying to tap into his memories to find out what actually happened, and it seemed to imply that he figured it out, or at least he has some sort of familiarity with Rene, but maybe this whole I don't know what's happening right now, if it's just him seeing a vision or it's just us watching it. So I'm guessing once he wakes up again, he'll tell us what's happening. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's a backstory for us or a backstory for him. So we'll see. But yeah, it's working so far. Like I said, besides CGI crap, it's just not good. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Don't get me wrong. This isn't Kamikatsu CGI. It's decent, but it's still stiff. Like, it's super stiff. So.
There's either good CGI or bad CGI.
It's in the middle area. It's in the middle area.
You have to praise it or absolutely trash it.
Yeah, it's either 10 out of 10 or mid.
Exactly.
It's either 10 out of 10 or mid. Let's talk about a show that I really want to talk about. Mysterious Disappearances, or Kai to Otome to Kamikakushi. This is one of those ones I feel like we've talked about the first week. We didn't talk about much in the first week, so it's probably not. But anyways, this one is streaming on Crunchyroll, run for 12 episodes by Zero G, based on a manga. Ecchi mystery, romance, supernatural. And this one opens up with Sumireko Ogawa, and she used to be a really good author. She was like 15 or something like that. She wrote a really good book that was like winning awards and everything. And she's always want to be an author, but now she's 27 when the show opens up, and she has not wrote a good story since then. She's getting up in age. Everybody's rejecting every story that she writes. And she's working in a bookstore alongside her kohai, who is Rin. And Rin loves older women. And so her stature is quite appealing to her, or appealing to him. Her stature, she's thick. It's very appealing to him. But anyways, someday the manager walks up. He has a book that was like left in the store, and he decides to give it to Sumireko because he knows that she likes writing and mystery and all that kind of stuff, and gives it to her as a gift. So she takes it home that night, which is her 28th birthday, or at least that midnight, I think it was, is 28th birthday. She reads the book. It's basically like poems about there's like multiple stories in it, and one of them is basically this poem about this spirit or something like that. That what I don't know. I know it's actually based on an actual folktale. Like everything involved in this story is based on different folktales and mysteries and whatnot. But this one's basically about like this one person that is upset that this human is dying. They're getting too old, so they were doing this poem, this chant in order to wish them to get younger again. So she reads that, and suddenly she goes to the store, and then suddenly she starts to de-age. Like she shrinks down in age, and like all of her clothes like just kind of start sagging off. But what happens from this is that she immediately starts getting inspiration again. Like she's now younger again, and she's just full of things. Like she can't keep up with how much she wants to write. Suddenly she has inspiration. So she's writing and writing and writing. Ends up not going to work, obviously. So Ren is concerned, goes to her apartment. She's not there. Finds the book sitting there. Immediately knows what it is. Goes out to find her on the streets and says, hey, You need to change back. You read this book, didn't you? It's a cursed poem, basically. It's a curiosity, as they call it in the subtitles. It's a curiosity, and what it's essentially doing is you're not de-aged. And certainly, yeah, she's actually bleeding out of her eyes and her ears. She just doesn't realize it because she's just enjoying writing. But then you start feeling pain. Yeah, your body, which is, again, like I said, a lot of mass, is actually being crushed down into the smaller, younger size of you. So you will die. Like, you need to change back, or you will die. She doesn't like it because she's got all this inspiration. She can write again. People like her writing again, but he has to talk her into reading this other line, which will revert her back. Then she runs off of the book and starts reverting back and forth in order to get away from him, but then he talks her out of it again, takes the curiosity away from her. So then when we get a little insight into who Rin Adoshino is. He is a curiosity hunter. And what he does is he will go out, find these oddities about the world, which are basically like cursed items. They're basically items that were rejected from other worlds that come to our world, and they can cause problems. So he gathers them, takes them to this train station, and will turn them in for tickets. And it seems to imply that tickets will allow them to go to other worlds. And he's currently trying to send his sister back to the world that she came from. I'm not really sure exactly if it's actually his sister or if it's just a girl that he found that he promised to send her back, but they call each other brother and sister or whatever. And they have the same family name, same family name. But anyways, so what kind of follows this is them just going out together and doing different random things. It seems like since Sumireko has used the book too many times, she is now cursed herself, so she can actually change her age whenever she wants to. So they use that to sort of have her like infiltrate his sister's school in order to find an oddity there, a curiosity there. They end up finding out that this teacher at the school is... Oh, what was the name of the creature? It's like this mythological creature that licks the shadow of people, and it will cause them to convulse and heat up. And I think they set on fire, actually. But in the school, the students that were that she claimed were bullying people, she would lick their shadows, and they would start to salivate, and then their body would burn up, and they would have to leave for home. And if they ever came back to the school, they would start burning up again. So they just stayed away from school. And they come to find out it's this teacher because she has like this like super bad traumatic past where like her grandmother, she was bullied because her grandmother was like homemaking all of her clothing and stuff like that to save money because they didn't have much money. And so she was being bullied for it. And then they started bullying the grandmother when she tried to speak up against the teachers for not protecting the granddaughter. It was like super mean. But yeah, she hates bullies because of that. And that's basically how we've gotten so far. Rin had to use his eyes, which they haven't fully explained what his eyes do, but it seems like they can pull a spirit out of something. And so now he's trying to cleanse it or something like that, which I haven't fully got the context of that, but that's what it's done so far. But yeah, I'm loving this show. I kind of getting me a lot of vibes of that like dark, gritty, mature horror type stuff that I was getting with Dark Gathering, which Dark Gathering was fantastic. It's just Dark Gathering, I think, didn't really kind of hold together visually. It had a style to it, and they definitely did a good job with it, but this one is definitely hitting similarly, but I don't know that I'm quite 100% on board with the story so far. Like, I like the idea that Sumireko kind of conflicted with herself. That was like the first story arc was Sumireko. I like that story because it's both the horror and mystery elements with a little bit of like folklore in there. If you want to look it up, you can look it up. It's got a lot of deep lore in it. I even checked out the manga on the side, and it was like this guy that was translating the manga was trying to translate all these references to different types of poetry and folklore and all that kind of stuff. It's like super deep stuff. But I think the anime is doing well enough to kind of give you the basic grassroots ideas of what's going on there, the surface level idea of what's going on there. But at its core, it was really kind of doing that stuff with that kind of dark feel to it, while at the same time getting into Sumireko and her own conflicts that she's going through with the idea that I'm a nobody now, whereas I used to be a somebody with my writing. Now nobody likes my stuff. It was really great when I think they opened the second episode. It had like the side-by-side of like her younger self, and they're in front of the publishers, and the publishers are super excited. It's got so much energy. People are loving it. And over here, it cuts to her when she's older, and everybody's like, it's boring. It's too dated. Nobody finds excitement in this. It's too complicated, whatever. And it's just her kind of struggling with herself. Getting into the second story, like I said, was kind of more unsettling. The idea of this teacher just licking the concrete on the roof, and everybody just spitting up saliva and stuff like that. The fight against her was absolutely crazy. What I like about it so far is it's just so dark and gritty. It's got a great style to it, but additionally, it just doesn't hide away from stuff. Like it's just, I guess it's raw, and it's kind of the same thing that I love so much about Dark Gathering. It doesn't hide away from things. Yeah, it's technically Sumireko's. Yeah, she shows it a lot. I mean, it's just like if she transforms into a more busty look and she ain't got nothing really to kind of hold on to it, it's gonna get crazy. The ecchi just kind of happens. It's not showing nudity or anything like that. The manga does. It's just when the ecchi happens, it just happens. It's not an ecchi show, but the ecchi happens kind of thing. And I do appreciate that it's not shying away from that. It's not shying away from the more mature themes and all that kind of stuff. It's got a gritty feel to it. So, yeah, by far, probably one of the more exciting shows for me for the season. I'm just eating it up. So, which is not a shock because I kind of assumed that coming into it. I was like, if you can just give me that, Dark Gathering vibe that I missed Dark Gathering. If you can give me that Dark Gathering vibe, don't shy away from mature themes and grittiness. Yeah, I'm all for it. And like I said, the fight with the teacher that got crazy. So I'm very curious to see what they do with it going forward. Like I said, it's got seemingly an overall story about being spirited away to different worlds and things getting lost here, and even people being lost here, and possibly being able to send them back. So I'm curious what they do with that. Yeah, mysterious disappearances. Good stuff. Konosuba Reshi, Chris. Konosuba Reshi. Kazuma desu. Hi, Kazuma desu. That just never gets old. Does it ever get old whenever he does? Yeah, Kazuma desu. Hi, Kazuma desu. He even did it one time when he wasn't even. They didn't even say his name. Like he went into this one room where this Duke guy was in this like naughty secret room that's next to the bath hall. And he literally just walks in and the guy's talking about like, what are you doing in here? Yeah, Kazuma desu. And like, he didn't say your name. He just says it. Anyways, Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World, Season 3, streaming on Crunchyroll. It's going for 11 episodes. Ugh, that sucks.
Poor Sebastian.
Drive's taken over for it. We don't have Studio Dean working on this one, which is a good thing because the 3 Dean shows this season are garbo looking. So I'm glad that at least they're not touching this one. We have Drive, I think, just doing this season. But yeah. So yeah, this one opens up pretty much leaving where we left off with them defeating Sylvia. The first segment so far was really him like wanting to go off to be a monk because he's so traumatized by Sylvia. Like he literally had to like go into and like accept her in order to defeat her. And now she's like haunting his mind. And so he's like going off to be a monk. And then at some point they run into like this plant creature that's trying to gain sympathy so that she can consume them. And then he decides not to. They go back, and then now he gets roped into like the little sister of darkness, I think it was, because she's actually a princess. Mm-hmm. And so they got to go with that whole situation and deal with that. And then he ends up like getting into the castle and really likes to be in the castle and entertaining the princess. And then they'll go fight the Demon Lord's army that's come to attack. And he made his lighters.
Yep.
I didn't think that was ever going to actually happen. The whole lighters thing. I was like, what is this? So what's your thoughts on
and then
season 3?
Then we got a sad Aqua face out of that.
Out of what?
The lighters.
Oh yeah, because she wanted one. He's like, slap.
She wanted one. Yep.
Well, because Mega Man helped me, Darkness helped me. You didn't help me.
You slept, laid on the couch, and
which is weird because Aqua's like seemingly more like subservient lately. Like it's weird. Like she'll just like
she keeps going back and forth.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's like in one scene, it's like suddenly out of nowhere, she's like, "Why is she like doing that? Like, why would Aqua, if anybody, be like doing that kind of stuff?" Yeah, it was weird. So what do you think? What do you think of the movie? I love the movie. Like the movie in this season has been fantastic. Like I said, I had my problems with season 2, but the movie was just nonstop hilarity, and then this season has been nonstop as well. I can't get enough of it. Like it's just so back. It's so back.
The movie was good at parts. I did find myself trailing off here and there, but for the most part, I did enjoy the movie.
Like he just thought he was gonna get so lucky, and he was so happy. And Union like shows up, and she wants to like have kids with them, and then like suddenly out of nowhere, bored or
Yeah.
was it orcs or something like that want to breed with them?
Yeah, when Union,
and then he
when-
thinks that, and
I'm
then
in
he
my
thinks
popular phase.
he thinks Mega Man wants to breed with him. He thinks he got a chance with Mega Man anyways because the family's got given blessings. It was crazy.
But yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed most of the movie. It was a blast. Like I said, every once in a while I kind of trailed off, but I had a blast for most of it. The show so far, I want to say it's good to have it back. It's in some respects, I am very much enjoying things, but at the same time, every once in a while, it just feels like, okay, I think I'm just getting kind of tired of Cosma, for a lack of a better term.
What? You crazy?
I don't know how to explain
Cosma
it. It's
deaths.
like Cosma seems to be where a lot of my I'm tired is coming from. Because I mean, like when Chris popped up in this latter episode, I was absolutely thrilled to have some fresh kind of jokes coming in. But yeah, Aqua was hit and miss, but she's always been that for me. Megaman, I generally enjoy. Darkness is absolutely
It feels like they're totally trying to
bonky,
ship
but-
Kazuma on her right now. Do you feel that too? Like
Who,
if
him in
this-
Darkness or
No, Mega Man. Like it feels
Mega
like
Man.
if
It
they
does.
ended this season with them like proposing to each other, it would make sense because it just feels like she's just constantly like just doki doki at him, and he's kind of picking up hints of it. But I'm like, I don't know if they
don't disagree with
over-deliver
you.
on
It does feel like,
Like
I
he's
mean,
never had anything with Darkness. He's never had anything with Aqua. But it's like Mega Man. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, are we literally shipping the two of them? Like, is the writer just like, we're doing this, we're going with? Everybody loves Mega Man. It's for damn sure if he doesn't get if this writer is going to ship him with a character and it's not Mega Man, I think Tokyo is going to burn down.
I think that it would be a blast if he just randomly does actually go through with him and Union. That would
that just, like,
absolutely
randomly goes with Chris or something.
yeah.
It's like she stole my heart, like I stole her Ponsu for the 15th time.
But yeah, but at the same thing is just like I was saying with Chris, randomly bringing her in and in the last episode when they brought in Iris, it was really nice to have something fresh and new kind of intertwining. I don't know what it is about Darkness and Aqua for some odd reason. It's just not. I mean, Darkness was good in the last couple of episodes, but Aqua's definitely not working for me right now. Mega Man is kind of just riding on that edge of I'm just almost an exhaustion from the movie, but Mega Man wasn't quite getting it for the first couple of episodes until they started getting into the latter stuff with Idris. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hit and miss right now. I am really enjoying it still. So please don't automatically assume that I'm trash talking. I'm kind of exhausted at it right now for some odd reason.
Yeah, that's the oddity because like I was about to open this up with the fact that it's just so odd how good Kazuma is as a character. Like I just don't see this show ever working without the I mean, we kind of established that with the whole Mega Man explosion, this wonderful world season where it was like Mega Man's just not Mega Man without everybody else. Like this series is just what it is because of those four to being together.
Yeah.
They're just so stupid. And Kazuma is just kind of in the middle being upset about the situation. Mega Man's being a dork. Aqua is useless as all get. And Darkness is just obsessed with just being hit. And it just all kind of comes together perfectly. And Kazuma just is the glue that brings it all together. And so without him, it just doesn't work. And like I said before, it's hilarious that something like just him saying "Hi, Kazuma Des" just works because it's like in the background, you can hear it like it's almost like it's behind you in the audio, and it just why is this still funny? Oh, it's just how it's delivered. It's always been kind of how it's delivered that I think this series has always worked. Again, except for season 2. Like it was oddity because season 1 was great. fantastic. Season 2, I struggled with. And it felt like the movie brought me right back into it. And like I said, I love it to death. It was hilarious. And then season 3, it's like from the very beginning, it's just nonstop working for me. Yeah, there was some parts where Kazuma is doing his kind of mopey thing that I was like, I hope this isn't the season. But then the moment I think when they ran into the little plant creature chick that's trying to kill them, I was like, this creature's totally going to be like
Yeah,
evil.
I totally seen that one.
And sure enough, because damn it, I almost got him. And I'm like, and she's just ranting off, and he's just like behind going, "You son of a."
It's
like,
actually kind of funny.
It was working.
It's kind of funny if I remember right. We both loved season 1. I actually liked season 2. You didn't like season 2, and
yeah, it was like the whole like thing with Aqua
and now we're flipping
and the
again.
religion and the slime thing, and it got like super serious. And I'm like, go back to it just being doofy and fun. Like it just got too serious, I think. But yeah, I'm thoroughly loving this season so far. It's absolutely working. I have really not much negative to say about it. Like I said, besides just like the very beginning, I felt like Kazuma kind of slouching around was kind of getting to me, but it's still fine. Like I said, I'm totally shipping Mega Man. If this is what they're doing with this whole thing, I'm on board with it. But yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm all for Harriman, so
True. I just don't think anything's gonna happen with Aqua or Darkness. I think the only one that is probably the weakest for me, and it's always been the weakest for me, is Darkness. I've never. She's probably the one that feels like the most one note.
I think that
she's either panicking about the situation or she's wanting to get hit.
I think her joke is probably the weakest. It's too
focused. It's too specific.
Yeah,
like Aqua is just useless. Could be so broad.
Well, I think that
Mega Man can kind of be so broad because it's destructive and everything like that. But Darkness is so specific.
Yeah, the problem with that is that it's while it seems like it's one note, it has the most potential, but it's almost like they're shying away from going that far. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I do
think
feel like
that's
right
the
now
real problem.
it works really well because she's around the other nobles, so she's almost like she kind of shifted in from being like I want to get hit and be somebody to talk down at me to almost like this aspect of like the corrupted noble. Like she is the I've been deflowered and ruined purity person of status kind of position right now, which is kind of funny. Like when she's like feeling all nervous in the ballroom and then suddenly he just yells out like we had our night together or something like that. She's like, Cosmo, what the heck are you doing? Don't say that. She has her moments. She definitely has her moments, but like I said, the weakest. And that's not really saying much. So yeah, Kazuma's time in the castle was just too much. Him waking
Sebastian.
up. Yeah, Sebastian. That's not my name. The next morning, Sebastian. That's not my name. Sibasu. And then then suddenly the maid walks up and he's like, don't worry. You can make the sheets while I'm in it. They bring over the food. It was just dorky. And then him just not wanting to leave. It's the selfishness of Kazuma just works. And it's so bizarre how well it works. Like he is an absolute dirtbag. But it works. It just for some reason just absolutely works. So, do you think the whole situation with Mega Man changing her skills? I thought that was super cute. Or she gave him her card.
Gave her the next level of explosion.
Yeah, she's like, here, press the intermediate button for me or whatever. And he didn't do it. I thought it was kind of cute. It was like him basically saying, just be who you are kind of thing. Like she felt like she needed to be something else. It was actually getting some weird kind of like deep thing with her and Union, and out of nowhere he's like, "Nope, just keep being you. Keep blowing up the countryside. We'll fill in the craters with water or something." Yeah, I'm loving it. Can't wait for more. Definitely a hit for me every week. This will be an interesting one.
I'm gonna get so bashed because everybody's gonna say that
I was like, where is he going with this? Oh crap, Chris is. Oh no. Gosh, yeah. Chris, I should have stopped you earlier. Do you want me to delete it?
Probably need to.
Do you want me to just delete that whole part in it?
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, when you're editing, don't forget to delete that part. Totally gonna remember. The many sides of
because all they heard was all my bashing. They did not hear that I said that I still like it.
Yeah, because it took you like 5 hours to get to you saying,
I know, right?
I still like it. Mm-hmm. This show is so garbage. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Exactly.
You're totally IGN it. You're IGN it. Anyways, the many sides of voice actor radio, or Seiyu Radio no Ura Omote. On Crunchyroll, 12 episodes. Connect is the studio light novel, comedy, drama, slice of life. And yeah, this one opens up with Yasumi, and it basically opens up with Yasumi and Yuhi. These are two voice actress idols, which actually is how they say it. It's like Seiyu Idolu or something like that. It's basically, you have like seiyus, which are just voice actors. All they do is they go into studios and they voice things. The voice actor idols is essentially like an evolution of that, where it's kind of bleeding into the idol industry. Because yes, you have idols that they perform on stages and they're bubbly and cute and they dance on the stage and everybody swings their little light sticks. We've had this kind of age where they're kind of melding the two of them together. A lot of voice actresses they don't just do voice acting. They'll do a lot of stage performances. They'll sing their character songs or whatever. That's what these two characters are. Yasumi they're both actually have two personas. They have their persona when they're doing their performances, where Yuhi is very kind of cute and prim and proper, whereas Yasumi is very kind of bubbly, blonde hair, very beautiful. But when they're out of the stage, Yuhi is very kind of to herself, very emo-ish. Her hair is always down in front of her face. She's very mean, cold. Whereas Yasumi dresses herself up like a gyaru. She just gets super painted up and everything like that. Nobody ever recognized her because over here she's clean and beautiful and bubbly, and over here she's gyaru, which that would never be the character or the voice actress I like so much. But yeah, they just happen to be going the same class. And then they both at the same time get a new job for a radio show, and they both get hired there. Yasumi's freaking out because she actually really does think the character, the person that Yuhi is like one of the best voice actresses, like an up and coming star, and so she's super excited to work with her. And then comes out, oh yeah, she's my classmate that I hate so much. So you have this whole thing where, yes, when they're on the radio show, they're very kind of their character, the idol Seiyu they've created for themselves. They're doing their job properly. But when they get off the radio broadcast, they hate each other and they can't seem to get along. But what sort of happens is that over time, because of like different discussions that they have on the radio broadcast and whatnot, they're sort of filling each other out. You'll have cases where, yeah, one of them will mention that there's like, you can get croquettes from the butcher shop. And so she'll say that she's going to, on the radio show, Yuhi will say, we're going to have to go have some. But when they get off the radio show, she literally drags Yasumi over there to get them because she doesn't want to lie to her listeners. So she has like this kind of honesty to herself, even though it's her character, she doesn't want to lie to her fans. You'll have this moment where they have to do a live performance, which is like behind the glass. You'll have like all the people watching them as they do the radio recording, which Yuhi gets a little bit nervous because she's never done live performances before. So Yasumi has to kind of help her out with breaking the ice and getting in there and everything. So it's like over time, they're slowly learning about each other. Again, you'll have a moment where they say they need to have a sleepover. So sure enough, Yuhi says, come over to my house. We got to have the sleepover. So they're getting to know each other just through happenstance and just doing their daily routine. That eventually kind of builds up into sort of an early, like what I would say is probably the boiling point of this first arc, which seems to be Yuhi gets a really big role as a main character of a big, massive mecha show coming up. And everybody's kind of shocked because she's talented and she's up and coming, but to get that role over the big seiyus is pretty shocking. So there is a little bit of a trouble there. Even Yasumi herself, as they're shutting down the radio show, she makes a passing comment about what she might have done in order to get that role. But it ends up turning into, yes, a scandal as somebody posts on social media that they've seen Yuhi. So they have these pictures of her and she's embracing this middle-aged man. And so there's this big controversy that this Seiyu that all these people love is going the casting couch basically in order to get that role. And so one of the classmates figures out that they're in that class and confronts her on a live stream. It turns into a massive controversy until eventually Yasumi, in order to save Yuhi, basically goes back on their radio show and confronts everybody that it's a lie because Yuhi is a really good person. She loves her fans. She does right. She tells the truth. Even when she doesn't want to Even when she says something on a radio show, we still do it outside the radio show just to prove that we're being truthful. She'd never do this. And then sure enough, Yuhi shows up with the middle-aged man. Guess, Chris.
It's her daddy.
There you go. Big shock. It's her dad. Big shock. It made sense. It was obvious to me because that's kind of a trope thing that a lot of shows do or stories do. But it was also because at some point she mentioned that the reason why she
said middle-aged man. I mean, if it was a younger man, then I would have went Big Brother more than likely. So because that's what they usually do.
Well, middle age can be anywhere from 18 to 30. So in anime terms. But no, it was also this aspect that at some point Yasumi asked Yuhi why she got into voice acting, and she said it was because her father was an animator, and she wanted to become a voice actor so that she can play a role in something that he's created. And I assume that he probably rose up the ladder and from animator to director. So they weren't public about it because they didn't want people to assume that she got the role because the director's her father. So he kind of makes it very clear, look, I voted against her because I didn't want my vote to sway anybody. And they kept it a secret that they were related, so she got the role by her talents. So anyway, the whole reason why I'm getting into this is because what this created was that it revealed Yasumi, because she went on there with her whole Gyaru get up and everything like that. This is the real me. And then Yuhi comes rushing in there. This is the real Yuhi. Her personality and everything, they showed their true colors to all their fans because that stream went crazy and viral. So what happened is after that, it saved the radio show because now they get on there every time and they act like their normal selves. And it seems like that's the gist of the story going forward, is them being themselves, not their idol Seiyu persona that they created. So I'm certain that's probably going to be, I mean, that's just like the whole, hey, radio show. What was that last radio show that we had? It was basically the same thing. Like she finally decided to just be very frank and everybody loves it. So anyways, and then there's another one coming up here soon that's like that. Oh, the VTuber one. That one's coming out that's supposed to be a VTuber that's failing, and then she gets drunk and then leaves the cam on and everybody loves her now or something like that. But I don't know. Coming into this show, by the way, I didn't have much expectations because the PV just felt like it was going to be too negative. Like it's just going to be constantly the two of them bickering. Like, oh, they're on the radio show and they're happy-go-lucky, and then they get off the radio station and they're suddenly mad, and they're constantly at each other's throats. And I really was getting that vibe with the first 2 episodes. But thankfully, it does seem like that shifted decently quick into what I would probably call Yasumi sort of being pretty genuine and sort of wanting to work alongside Yuhi, while Yuhi felt very tsundere. Like she's the type that like I said with the whole life thing, what happens is Yasumi trips Yuhi because she was nervous and wouldn't walk in. She trips Yuhi, and then her flustered nature of getting back up and Yasumi going in there and going, oh man, look, she hurt herself. Everybody cheer for her, so she gets up. And then everybody cheers on her on, and it kind of helps her break the ice to get in there. Afterwards, obviously, he's like, I'm gonna file charges against your agency and all this kind of stuff. And it's not like she was gonna do it. It's just like this little kind of her getting a little snooty and angry about her doing that because she's embarrassed. So it's got like that kind of tsundere nature to it. But they're working together. Like it does seem like Yuhi likes being around Yasumi. So I like that they kind of shift that pretty quickly. But what I actually especially like was that it got a little bit more into the industry than I was actually expecting, and I'm liking that stuff. I'm liking where they're going with the characters because there's sort of a rivalry between the two of them. Yuhi is an up-and-coming. She's establishing herself. She's got this major role with this big mecha. And then she's afraid of Yasumi because Yasumi is she's just started. Like, she's a rookie. Like, she's in her first year, I think. And Yuhi believes that Yasumi is incredible, but she knows that Yasumi doesn't know that she's incredible. Like, she's the one that goes up on that. Like, they get this. They both get a role in this one anime. Yuhi goes up there, performs great. It cuts to the end of the show, and then Yasumi's like, "Wow, yeah, you're really good there. I'm just not. I look out of place here. Everybody else is incredible." And then Yuhi's like, "That's what I hate about you." And it cuts over, and yeah, she's recalling the fact that Yasumi went up there and absolutely floored everybody with her performance. So it's that whole thing of like Yasumi not realizing her talent, Yuhi being jealous of her talent, and being afraid of her catching up to her. And I think that might actually turn into something decently interesting going forward. I do love the look into industry with it when it comes to seiyus, and I think there's a couple shows like Seiyu Life that did a pretty good job of it. So I'm open to another show like that to capture me, but I am curious if it will stay away from the melodrama, because it hasn't hit melodrama, but I have a feeling it could. But so far it's working. I'm actually pleasantly surprised how much I'm enjoying it. There is certain aspects of it that I'm like, that would never happen. Like just the director walking in there with his daughter and to clear up the error on a live stream, that would have never happened. They would literally cut down the live stream, and I would assume the agency would cut off the live stream because Yasumi is part of their agency. They would probably tell them to stop, and then the director would probably release a press release separately. It's not like the director would come out there and say, "I'm sorry, it's my daughter. She got her own talent." That would never happen. Now, yes, it was a very big live stream with like 50,000 at some point, but that's just not. They wouldn't do that. I'm sorry. That's not what you would do. So there's certain parts where you have to kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit there, but it's doing really well. So I'm enjoying it.
Shut down the live stream. Pretend that she's never worked for them ever before.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, there was one point where they were like, literally, this might hurt you. Nope, it ain't gonna hurt us. But yeah, you probably get fired from your agency. She's like, yeah, this is probably gonna end my career, but I have to do something. Speaking of live streams, the show that Chris keeps avoiding for some reason, it's weird. Viral hit. Arkenka Doku Gaku.
Nope.
Did you start it?
Nope.
Oh, I thought you were saying no, I didn't avoid it.
Nope. I'm not going nowhere near it.
I think it's based on a manhwa. Yeah, this one's Crunchyroll, running for 12 episodes. Okuroto Noboru is the studio. Manga.
Unless you randomly tell me that it's just a bunch of cute girls doing cute things.
There's some cute girls that do some live streams on the side. Genres are action comedy. This one follows Hoben, and early on we kind of see how Hoben, it feels like literally in this world, you walk 2 feet and you run into somebody that has a selfie cam, and they're a what would they call them? I forget that it's a YouTube knockoff. Everybody's a YouTuber in this world, it seems like. Like, he goes in his classroom and there's literally one guy and he's talking and he's collaborating with a classmate who's like a beauty YouTuber. And they're just like bringing Halban into it all the time. They'll put a bunch of makeup on his face and laugh at him. And at some point, one of the other individuals in the classroom, which they call him Snapper, he really badly wanted to do it, so he asked this other guy, how do you start? And he's like, oh, you just got to get somebody that has a bank account, and you can start up an account and start making money. So Snapper's like, oh, Hoben, did your mama have a bank account? Oh, yeah, because his mother's in a hospital right now. They always make fun of it. Yeah, you should totally let me use her account so that I can make a YouTube account. So he pretty much bullies Hoben into letting him make an account on YouTube with his mother's bank account so that he can live stream and make money on it. So he's live streaming at his home, forcing Hoben to like bring him food and everything like that. He spills a bunch of stuff on Snapper when he was live streaming and accidentally trips over the cable, so the screen turns off and everything. And Snapper like gets mad and they start beating on each other. And then cut the next day, Hoben wakes up and then realizes that I think Snapper calls him up and says, hey man, your live stream's still going. It went all night. Everybody's freaking out. Apparently the cable he tripped over was just for the monitor. Like, the cable was run all the way from the other socket, from the other wall, just for the monitor. So when he tripped over that, it just turned off the monitor, but the webcam and the computer and everything else was still on. So them literally duking it out because they were fighting, it went viral. And so everybody's freaking out. And yeah, sure enough, they made a whole bunch of money. And what kind of comes from that is Snapper and Hoben working together, because Snapper wants him to give him the YouTube account, but Hoben is able to control it because it's his mother's bank account. And so they're kind of constantly going back and forth, essentially realizing they can go viral by getting into fights. And so, yeah, the guy at the school, in his classroom that keeps bullying him, he finally steps up and fights him. And the way that Hoban is learning how to fight is through this like random YouTuber that he ran into that has like no views. And it's this guy that wears a chicken head and teaches people how to fight. And so Hoban is taking that information to essentially fight off his enemies while Snapper records it and they go viral. It was actually funny because like finally here recently in the last episode that I watched, I think it was the last episode I watched, he's like, yeah, we're doing a great job, but we have to worry about that yellow symbol. He's like, what, that yellow symbol? Yeah, demonetization. I'm like, so it is YouTube. I was like, how the hell do these people have these? I mean, because again, it's literally YouTube. And I'm like, how are they literally making fortunes off of essentially fights? Like in classrooms, like school kids are fighting each other, beating each other bloody. That would be demonetized very quickly. So they've acknowledged that demonetization is a thing. So you got to watch out for that. We got to keep doing these fights, getting viral, making money, and not getting demonetized. Eventually, he gets the interest of this girl that he was working with at his job, and he keeps thinking that she's like into this Tatsuya guy, which is like this like ex MMA fighter. I'm assuming the ex MMA fighter from his classroom is probably the chicken. That's my assumption so far. He gets his butt kicked because they take the girl hostage and they humiliate him in front of everybody, so he's kind of a little bit down right now, but that's about where I'm at. My thoughts on the show. Positives. It's refreshing. It's a different story. It is an underdog story of him kind of rising up the top and making money and finding success, even though he was always beat down. He was the bullied character, and now he's finally rising up. He's getting fame. He's getting money. He's able to support his mother, whereas before he was struggling getting the money for his mother's doctor bills, whatever. He's rising up. He's getting the girl. Everything's going well. Has his stumble points, whatever. But it's got a refreshing thing in that it is about, again, going viral and social media and popularity and all that kind of stuff. The problem is that with the 3 or 4 episodes I got into it's got stale. Like, its uniqueness has already worn off. Like, it's like, okay, this is something new, but then at the same time, it's like, but you're not really doing anything with it. Like, it feels new, but it's like it's a different paint coat. It's still the same car kind of thing. Like, oh, wow, that's a green car. I've never seen a green car before, but after a while you realize, but it's the same car I've always drove, okay? So this isn't really anything new. That's like my positive and negative, is that it feels new, but I can admit that after a while of watching the show, it's like, this is kind of samey. The biggest negative I have is that I do not like the character designs, and I do not like the artistic choices with the comedy. Or I guess it's called comedy. I guess you can label it comedy. I hate the faces they make every 2 seconds when something happens. Like, I don't know where Hoban's getting maybe a little bit into the girl next to him, so he gets like this weird like chimpy face, or the character gets super angry and it just starts getting really derpy and everything. This is a show of derpy faces, let's just say that. I don't like the expressiveness of the characters. It is so distracting, and it just doesn't work for me. I'm like, it's I guess it could be funny for a lot of people. Again, comedy subjective. Some people might find this stuff funny, but for me, it just doesn't work. Like, it just looks dumb. Like, it just kind of just, that's weird. Why are we having that face? And it just kind of ruins the experience for me overall. I've never cared for derpy faces. I hate that kind of expressiveness, especially when it's kind of a little bit overly detailed. So that part is kind of ruining it for me. But again, it's got a unique feel to it. I kind of want to give it a couple more episodes, but like, just because it does, again, have a uniqueness to it, but I don't know that I'm going to hang on for very long. Again, too many shows this season. And this isn't doing enough, I guess. So, Chris, keep dodging it.
Cool.
Keep dodging it. I mean, unless you want to watch him flirt on the girl and hopefully gain her. It seems like she's into him, but who knows? Who knows? It's kind of like the whole thing of like, does she really want me, or is she actually like the other guy?
She probably really likes the other guy.
And he's a turkey man. And he's a chicken man.
Until he goes and knocks his butt out, and then she'll not.
I think this is like their childhood friends or something like that.
And then she'll still not like him.
Your childhood friends. Kaiju number 8 is the next one. The Twitter show. Kaiju number 8, running on Crunchyroll and Twitter. Finally can confirm how that's working. Essentially, both Crunchyroll and X.com are simultaneously at the same exact time live streaming. Yes, Crunchyroll's doing live streams now, apparently, for debuts. They're live streaming at the same time, and then after the episode ends, I think it's like another 30 minutes after that, I think, Crunchyroll posts the episode, and they only live stream it on X. So you can't watch it afterwards on X. They're just live streaming it while Crunchyroll's live streaming it. So that's... I was kind of curious, are they going to make a episode page or something like that where you can watch it? No, it's literally to live stream it when it's broadcast, and that's it. Which I thought was kind of interesting, but not too unique. But it was cool because it got... Shoot, it was getting like hundreds of thousands, if I remember correctly. Like a lot of views when it was actually live streaming on Twitter, on X. And that was mainly because, yes, Japan. The Japan version of it, the raw version of it, was getting like massive live viewers. So it apparently was successful. I'm not sure if it's holding that success, but anyways, with that preamble why it's on X aside, Production IG is working on it based on a manga, action, adventure, sci-fi. And this one opens up with Kafka. We get a quick sense early on when he was young, kaijus are attacking, and he does not like kaiju and wants to stop the kaiju. So he, along with his childhood friend, Mina, made a declaration that they're going to grow up to be a part of the self-defense force, which there's a kaiju self-defense force, which will go out, whenever kaiju show up, they will go out and defeat the kaiju. Cut forward, and now Kafka's like he's literally getting in his 30s. He did not become a part of the self-defense force. He actually became part of the cleanup crew. Yes, whenever a kaiju, these massive Goliath things that are building skyscraper size, when they die, they blow up everywhere, and somebody's got to clean it up. So he's a part of the team. They'll go in there, cut up certain parts. They'll get samples for the research companies, and they'll make sure that they move certain parts because that part is acidic or whatever. And they just kind of take the stuff apart and dispose of it. Well, Mina, she actually became part of the self-defense force. She's actually like a captain and is like rising up. Like there's no time at all. She's probably gonna be leading the place. She's taken out tons of kaiju herself. So yeah, Kafka is kind of given up. It looks like there might be like age restrictions and whatnot. Doesn't seem like he's gonna end up becoming part of the self-defense force, but it seems like he's accepted that. Well, at some point, Reno shows up at his company that he is working for to clean up, and Reno is somebody that is also trying to become part of the self-defense force, and Reno doesn't like the fact that Kafka's given up. He's never going to give up. He's definitely going to become a member. Eventually, at some point after a cleanup, they get attacked by a stray kaiju. Kafka saves Reno's life. Reno runs off to get the defense force, comes back and helps him out. Mina shows up, defeats the kaiju. And as they're kind of getting... they're recovering in the hospital. Kafka is talking to Reno. Reno's like, I'm not going to give up. You shouldn't give up. Yeah, I'm not going to give up. Suddenly, this insect appears in Kafka's face and says something like, I found him or something like that. And then the insect goes down Kafka's throat. Reno's like, what the heck happened? Because he's struggling. He opens the curtain. Sure enough, Kafka has turned into like a kaiju. He's literally like a humanoid-looking kaiju. And they immediately freak out. They call it this old man sees them. They call in the self-defense force. Immediately, Kafka and Reno just rush off and leave the hospital as they're running down the road. Kafka's like transforming into different weird things, and he's trying to figure out how to go to the bathroom, and he starts peeing out of his chest, and he's freaking out. And suddenly a kaiju attacks nearby, and Reno tries to get Kafka to leave because the self-defense force is going to come to kill him or the other kaiju. But Kafka decides at that point he's going to use the strength that he has, being a kaiju, to defeat the kaiju. So he ends up saving some little girl and her mother from this kaiju by literally like One Punch Man uppercutting it and splattering it everywhere. And then after that, they decide both of them they both get accepted for the next exam to become self-defense, which point we went to exam day 1, which is where they were defeating kaiju here and there. The emphasis that they've kind of established so far is that Kafka is trying to hide that he has kaiju powers, but he has learned to sort of designate only transforming certain parts of his body so he can kind of hide it under his suit. So I'm assuming eventually he'll start to maybe manipulate his legs so that he can run faster or something like that without people knowing he's a kaiju. But so far, all he's done that's kind of set himself aside from everybody else because his bodysuit shows him 0%. Like, he's got no potential with the suit. He's using his knowledge of the kaiju that they literally dissect and dismantle on a regular basis against the kaiju. So obviously, if there's this like really armored kaiju that you can't like cut into the side of it, if he's dismantled it before, he'll know that if right here in the chest, if you split open there, it's weak, and then you can get it better. So he'll call out to people, hey, shoot it right here under his chin or whatever, and it'll explode. And sure enough, they'll do that, and they'll offset their skill. So that's what they're doing so far. He's already got a rival, which is Kikoru, and she's like this up and coming, like decked out rich girl that's got like tons of skill, and so she's constantly rivaling him. That's so far where I'm at with the show. And yeah, Mina's over here constantly saying that Kafka's a liar because he was supposed to join her in becoming a self-defense force person, and now she's alone. Just alone with her tiger. She got a tiger. That's cool. Anyways, I'm actually really enjoying this show. It's not a show like every week I'm going like, holy crap, the next episode, where's that? But it is a show that I'm very pleasantly surprised how much I'm enjoying it. It feels like a very fresh action shonen adventure type of sci-fi show. Yeah, the best way to kind of describe my initial thoughts on it was the Attack on Titan joke, where it's like the Eren Yeager is Kafka, and he's trying to get in a part of the fighting squad, but then he becomes what they're fighting, and then he's keeping it a secret. But there is sort of a side of me that I'm like, I kind of hope soon they do the Attack on Titan thing where they just get it out there. Like, Kafka is a kaiju. Let's move on. Because I'm so far with this whole exam thing, I'm not sure I'm liking it. Like, I'm not liking this whole hiding the fact that he's a kaiju thing, because it just doesn't... It just turns into him constantly getting hurt and everybody going, oh my gosh, he's so weak. How could he ever become a self-defense force person? You're like, because eventually he's going to use his kaiju powers. Or, I don't know, maybe the writer wants him to beat the exam without using his ability. That way, it, I guess, is him achieving something he never was able to do before without the use of the powers. That could be what they're doing as well. But it just kind of... The exam episode that we got so far, I didn't like. And so I'm hoping that beyond this, something kind of corrects course. Because the first two episodes I really liked. It's a twofold thing. When the action is present, it's really good. Visually, it looks really good. The kaijus look fantastic. A lot of the action shots are fantastic. The music just goes crazy. And everything just goes on all cylinders. Outside of the action, the chemistry is great. Kafka and Reno's chemistry is fantastic. They're constantly kind of just either in a good relationship, or they're butting heads, or they're throwing jabs at each other. And I felt the same thing when you brought in Kikuro and the rest of the examinees. Their chemistry just works. Like, the writing in the chemistry of the characters is really fantastic. So it works here, it works there. It's just when we got to that episode where we got into the exam, it suddenly out of nowhere, I'm like, I hope this doesn't take too long, because this isn't working. The action still works. Like, seeing Kikuro just like running across the side of the building like we see in the PV was really cool. Like, the action still kind of works, but I don't know if I like where the story, or at least the structure of the progression of the story is going, I guess is the best way to put it. But that said, that's just like a little quick, like, a little bit of fear that I had in later parts, but I think everything else is still working, that I'm hoping that it's going to correct course and keep going good. So definitely a refreshing show, despite the fact that there's this is sort of the soul leveling of this season. Even though there's like a negativity of it being I think a Shonen Jump series, it's still worth the time. Like, it's don't listen to the haters because it's popular, don't like it. I've been enjoying it. A lot of people got mad that I put it in my top 10 of the season so far list.
Wait,
like,
you did what?
I like it. What am I going to say? I told you that last recording, because I was saying, what was it? The show that we were saying what was better than it, and I said, well, Kaiju number 8, apparently.
No.
Yeah.
No, clearly you're wrong.
You haven't watched it. You know what I'm talking. Yeah, I made a note, so I almost forgot. I will admit some of the music is a little bit It's got that whole thing where, like, it works because it's kind of eerie. Like, the first time that Kafka and Reno were getting attacked by that stray kaiju, it had that weird, like, music style where it's like a ton of different electronic noises, and it's all, like, skewing. And it just goes crazy with that. And it's like, where's the music? Like the whole opening segment with the kaiju showing up and Mina's like jumping down there and like lands on top of the building and it's all slow motion and the characters are like dropping out of the helicopters and shooting down on it. That music was going ham and it worked. And then the whole scene where Kafu's being chased, I'm like, stop, just stop. It just, no, I don't like it. I've never liked it.
My sound is the ringing. I had bumped into a show where they had done a dude had gotten flashbanged or something like that, and it was doing that ringing noise. I can't stand that.
Yeah, they love that. They love that. Anyway, that's Kaiju number 8. I'm enjoying it. Chris wants to be a hipster. It's a shonen. Let's move on to some romance. Our other big romance show this season. Because then there's 2. There's Condition Called Love and then Whisper Me a Love Song. The third one, right? What was the third one? I want to say that's the third one. Obviously, viral hit, Andrew. Anyways, Whisper Me a Love Song, the Yuri show. This one, oh yeah, there is another Yuri show this season. Jellyfish. Are you keeping up on that one?
I was working on the shows that I watched last week.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I bade you into it before we did the impressions. I forget if you did an impression with me.
I did the impression with Jellyfish.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think you were behind an episode. I don't remember. Anyways, Whisper Me a Love Song. Let's talk about that show. Sasa yaku yo ni koi wo utau. This one is streaming on High Dive, running for 12 episodes, being done by Studio Cloud Hearts and Yokohama Animation Lab, based on a manga, drama, music, romance. And this one opens up with a girl named Himari Kino, who's going to a new school, and so she's a first year. And during the entrance ceremony, they had this one band on the stage. Apparently, they lost their vocalist, so they quickly replaced the vocalist with this Yori Asanagi. And Asanagi, when she performs on the stage, immediately Himari is like, Toki Toki. I'm in love with her music. She's so beautiful. She's great. She's an amazing senpai. Well, later on, she ends up running into Yori Asanagi and tells her that she loves her music. I love your work. I love what you did. Well, she basically is saying, I like, that was a great performance. I love you. And Yori's like, oh, well, that's interesting. But then, like, she realized how, like, super cute this Kohai is. And she's like, oh my gosh, this Himari girl is, like, super cute. And she's so lovable. And she's like, oh, I love you too. So it kind of turns that whole thing of, like, wait, like, love. And what kind of progresses after this is, like, you just having Yori trying to, like, struggle with her feelings because it's obvious that her Kohai is obsessed with her, but doesn't believe that she's understanding what she's saying. It's the whole, like, are you delivering the message of love properly? So at some point, yes, they end up going on a date together. Himari is thrilled with my great senpai who's amazing. I'm going to go out on a date with her. And then towards the later part of the date, Yori basically says, I want to date you for real. Like, for real. And then it finally clicks for Himari, like, oh, wow, she actually means for real, like, actual love. Which turns into this whole thing where Himari has, like, this weird existential crisis where she doesn't know what love is, but she's had dealing in the past where she didn't understand love, so it caused conflict with somebody, and so she's... I'm thinking of Condition Called Love, huh? Damn, they're all mixing up together now. But no, it's really Himari not really understanding what love really is, at the same time understanding that she needs to figure it out because, obviously, Yori is serious about it. Like, Yori really does want to fall in love with her. Yori does quickly establish that she wants to win her over, and that is by singing. So despite the fact that she was like basically a sub into this band to become their singer, she decides to become like their full-time singer and write music for them and everything because she's hoping that she can win over Himari with her music. So that's basically the gist of it so far. Very quickly you realize one of the other band members actually likes Yori, so she's a little jealous of Himari. She tells Himari, hey, I like her, so you need to decide quick. Like, stop stringing her along. Himari's super cute, wants to be with Yori, but doesn't know what love is. They also have somebody from a cooking club that Himari ends up joining, and that makes Yori super jealous. So we go through the whole jealous arc of like, what's this feeling? It's jealousy. Oh, that's what jealousy is thing. That's basically everything that we've tackled so far. Visually, it looks fine. I think it's got some great character designs in it. Obviously, Yu Yokohama jokes in there. I do love Himari's character design, super cute. Yori looks very kind of tomboyish. She's fine. It's not doing anything spectacular visually, but at the same time, it has enough detail in there that the characters look fantastic, and it's got some very detailed character designs. Story-wise, I'm not really getting too much from the show so far. Like, I'm hoping we're just at this cusp of actually getting into something decent, and I think that's probably what they've established with the last episode I watched, because again, it's establishing this other girl literally coming in and saying, hey, stop stringing her along because I want her too, and she's holding for you. Cut her loose. You know, if you're gonna do it, but why are you sitting here stringing her along? And Himari's obviously conflicted with that as well, that she's stringing her along. There is a difficulty there in not really understanding if you really want to be in a relationship with somebody while they're constantly trying to pursue you. But I don't really feel like... What's really killing the show for me right now is I just don't really care. That's my biggest beef, is I don't really connect with any of the characters, the chemistry. I just feel like the characters all around feel very one note. Like, Himari is very kind of... She's not ditzy, but at the same time, she's kind of a little oblivious. And again, just apparently trying to figure out what love is. She's not ditzy, but she's kind of very innocent, I guess is the best way to put it. And that's her shtick. Yori is almost seemingly like somebody that is not confident, but confident and pushing herself and becoming the forward person. Aki is just kind of the friend that is going to be the third wheel. Like, none of these characters and their chemistry and their conversations, nothing really seems to work. Throwing a comedy in there or developments is not really working. It's one of those shows where, like, I think there's so much focus on the shtick between Himari and Yori that everything else feels like it's a little bit flat. Like, it doesn't have enough there to really kind of hold it together. It feels empty, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know. I'm very mixed, and because I know there's a little bit of excitement coming in this show. I think I've heard some people say that it kind of goes places, so I might stick with it a little bit longer. But I think, like I said, that last episode I watched kind of indicated me that there's some sort of conflict that's going to finally come up, and maybe they'll do something with it. But for now, it doesn't seem like it's really doing too much for me. But I'm hoping it shifts. So there you go. Now people can be mad at me along with you at Konosuba. I did it just for you. The good thing is that Konosuba is extremely popular, whereas Whisper Me a Love Song is like 3 people that have High Dive accounts. So I'm better off than you are. What about the Kirito show? Let's talk about the Kirito show. Did you watch the Kirito show, Chris?
I haven't the slightest clue.
Oh, dang it. Well, that's one. The New Gate.
No.
The Kirito show. The New Gate. The show about what if Kirito beat the original game, but he was the only one that was trapped in it afterwards. It's like it opens up Sword Art Online, and then once he beats the game, it shifts into Overlord.
There you go.
Like, he's the only one trapped in it, kind of thing. And then time jumps forward thing. Anyways, yeah, the New Gate. This one is Cloud Hearts. I don't think it's Cloud Hearts in Yokohama Lab, because that's 2 of them. I don't know. I might have the studio messed up on this one or the previous one. I don't know. But yeah, this one follows a guy named Shinya. And like I mentioned before, they're in a VR MMO game. They all get trapped in there. It turns into a death game. And then Shinya goes like super solo, beater mode, and goes to the last boss and solos the boss. Everybody's freed after everybody. A lot of people died, but the remaining people after he beat the boss, they all showed logging out. So he's just sitting there watching as everybody on his sheet kind of start logging out until everybody's gone. And then suddenly, before he goes to log out, this other door opens, and he decides to go through the door, and he's in this other area, and then he quickly goes to go log out, but now he can't log out. So he kind of walks around for a little bit, then realizes that he's got the place where their base was, I think, is still there. It's either their base was there or like this one girl, her base was there. But he goes to that location, and when he arrives there, there's this girl behind the counter inside this building called Tira. And Tira, he asked Tira, hey, is Shni around or whatever? And she's like, oh, no, she's been gone for a while now, but I'll let her know when you return. Talks to her for a little bit, kind of come to realize that what it seems like happened is that the world that they were playing in, this VR MMO that they were trapped in, it's the same world, but time has progressed. Like a long period of time has progressed. And so it goes in that whole thing where like all the gamers from back in the day seem to have been like this old race of like superhumans that all disappeared at some point. There's legends of them now. And yeah, it seems to imply that the Shni, this one person that he knew from the game back then, seems to still be around. So he got a message out to her while he's going around doing quests and being OP character because he's an OP main character. I'm trying to think of what else kind of transpired. I know the whole thing where like he took one job to help this this church because one of their members, Millie, is somebody that's able to see like a prophecy, and that person warns him to go save some fox from an altar, and then he ends up helping that particular. The quest, the adventure job that was given to him is that they're going to shut down the orphanage unless they can teach somebody, one of the sisters, how to use this cleansing spell. I think it was a cleansing spell. So he goes into talking about how, yeah, in order to get it in the game, you had to hold this one item while you defeated 150 undead. So he literally takes her with this other guy, takes her out to this undead place, and she has to finish everything off with this scepter in hand, and she learns a cleanse spell. Exciting, I know. Bear with me here. Exciting, I know. Bear with me here. Yeah, he's just being OP, and at the same time, again, it's implying that he's going to meet this girl from his past. Oh yeah, the girl that was behind the counter, she had like some crazy curse, and he cleansed it. I know, shocking, right? Because he has OP abilities. That's the new gate so far. Can you guess?
I'm guessing you didn't much care for it.
Not caring for it at all. Gonna probably drop it pretty quick. I don't know. Like, this is one of those shows where like it's not that it's bad. It's just you gotta give me something else, and it's just not giving me really anything else besides the. It's the bullet. It's a bullet point isekai is what it feels like. It's just okay. He's in this world. He's OP. He cures all the people. They get doki doki for him because he cures them. He goes around, be's OP, takes down baddies, shows people how OP he is and how smart he is in the world, and catches the attentions of people. And he's OP. I don't really know. I can't. It's one of those shows where I can't really think of anything specifically that it's doing that I'm like, okay, that's cool. Let's go with that. Nothing. I can't think of anything. It's not a bad show, but at the same time, I'm not really feeling anything. It's not a visually incredible show. It's existing at this point, and I have nothing. I'm lost for words because I have nothing to talk about the show. That's how bad it is.
I might poke into it after I catch up with everything else I want to watch.
Yeah, hit everything else first. That's a massive low priority there, man. I'm gonna say that's a massive low priority for me. Let's get into a show that I do want to talk about though, and it's a show that I think I'm 2 episodes behind at this point. I'm kind of kicking myself at this point. I do badly need to get caught up on YATAGARASU. The Raven does not choose its master. Karasu wa aruji wo irabanai. Apparently running for 20 episodes. I didn't know that. Studio Pro is working on it, based on a novel, Action Supernatural. And this one opens up in a world where it's this one land that is ruled. It's called the Yamauchi, which is ruled by the Yatagarasu clan. And it's essentially this one area where it's divided into a northeast, southwest regions where you have those 4 kingdoms. And the dead center on this one mountain is sort of the capital. And this capital that runs everything is run by, obviously, an emperor. And as we open up the show, essentially every time one of the princes is old enough and they're going to take over the throne, they will be sent a bride from each of the regions to be a possible bride. And then he will select amongst them which one he's going to take upon himself as the bride, marry them, and then he's going to ascend the throne. And at this current generation, some oddities happened here. First of all, the current prince, the eldest prince that you would think would become the next king or emperor, he has been not selected to become the next one. They're actually going to select his younger brother, and that is because his younger brother is one of these, like, he's apparently the son of, like, a highborn mother, so not the current emperor. And they're selecting him because he is of this special type of these. They're basically all crow people. Everybody in this area are like they're human that can turn to crows. And he's like this special type of crow. I think it's the golden crow or something like that. So he's just because he is this next of this lineage, they really badly want him to be the next in line. Of course, the Empress does not like this, and she is trying to stop him. At the same time, it seems to indicate that the older brother also wants to stop it. And that seems to be because he learned that it seems like whenever the Golden Crow shows up, there is this tale that it will bring misfortune. But everybody has to support it because he's the Golden Crow. So I'm assuming they're trying to paint the big brother as wanting to stop it because he doesn't want this bad thing to happen. And the Empress is doing it because she's mad because it's not her daughter, her son. On the other end of the story, so from here on, now that you have established the story, opening it up, there's 2 different perspectives here. The first episode was mostly the perspective of the brides coming in. So it shows them coming in there. The Empress welcomes them in. She makes fun of this one potential bride because they didn't even name her. She wasn't the one that was supposed to show up. The other daughter got sick, so they end up sending her. And so she doesn't even have a name. So the Empress calls her Esabi, which is like a really bad term. It's something like the sap of a tree that will make a horse go crazy. So she's basically calling the prince a horse, and that he's going to drink of her sap and go crazy. So it's like a big insult, but she accepts it because she doesn't know what it means. And so it mostly follows Esabi as the rest of as she's completely clueless. Because again, she was not ready for this. She was not raised like her sister was to do this. So she's learning about this stuff for the first time as we're learning it. The bride's all basically talking about the situation and waiting for the prince to show up because the prince isn't visiting them. Then we cut over to Yukiya. And Yukiya is just a son of a nobleman that's out in one of the regions. And he has been selected to be sent there to be a vassal under the prince. And so he comes there and he meets the prince, and we kind of find out why the prince hasn't been seeing the brides, because he learned that, yes, he thinks that one of the brides is an assassin to kill him. Because, again, it seems like both the older brother and the Empress doesn't like him. So we get his perspective, and Yukiya having to be put through crap because the prince is kind of a jerk. Or at least he's trying to push him to see if he can fold, and if he's not, he's going to bring him in. But anyways, yeah. That's all for me to say. I love this show to death. And you can tell because I know everything about it. Like, it's like, I might have got something wrong, but no, I'm eating up this story so much. I joked with Chris the other day, and I've told multiple people this. It just feels like Raven the Inner Palace without the mystery per episode. It's just got that mysticalness of it, that kind of alternate history type of thing. The setting's fantastic. The visuals are fantastic. The backgrounds are fantastic. The music's fantastic. The character writing's fantastic. The perspectives is fantastic. Even though there's a large cast here, it's doing a great job of hitting each of the characters. really getting me settled in and figuring out what every single person, even though I have no clue what everybody's after, I'm already getting a sense of what they're seeking. Like that little taste in there of like, okay, this is what this person's all about. There's some of the characters where they'll kind of pull the rug out from under you. Like early on, it felt like Masuho no Suzuki, which is one of the brides. It seemed like she was being nice to Esabi, but then really quickly you find out, no, she's kind of a dirtbag too. There's a lot of lore they're already kind of uncovering, which really kind of enriches the world itself. One of the cool things is that, like I said before, humans, they're human. They have two forms. You can be a human or they can be a crow. So they can just turn into a crow and fly off, or turn into a human and kind of converse with each other. I was telling Chris, if you look at the PVs, you'll notice that like whenever somebody goes up from the ground level up to where the peaks are, where the central area capital is, you'll see these kind of carriages that have these crows that are flying them up. There's a person riding on a crow on each side of the carrot, each side of these strings that hold up the carriage. And they got into the fact that at some point, Esabi, again, the clueless girl that has been told nothing of this stuff, we kind of find out because she witnessed Yukiya transforming, she freaks out. And then somebody gets mad. How dare you transform in front of the brides? Well, come to find out, none of the brides have ever witnessed somebody turning into a crow. So they didn't know that they can even turn into a crow. And so seeing this guy turn into a crow, they panicked. Because this is something that they never known before. And I'm like, that's weird. Why would they not tell them that they can turn into crows? Like, what is wrong with them knowing that a person can turn into a crow? And then come to find out, when they were describing to Asabi why that's the case, they go, do you know those carriage crows? Those are actually one of our kind. They just are in basically forced servitude because they transform them into a crow and then put this charm around their leg to prevent them from being able to change back. So they're basically being forced to have to be these crows to carriage this stuff until their term is up. Then they'll be set free. And it's like, it's so weird. Like, I love these little like nuggets that are just enriching the world and really making me feel like I'm just absolutely falling into this world. And just, I love it. It's just so well paced. I love the characters, the chemistry, the writing, the intrigue, the politics. Oh, I'm loving it. It's literally up there. I don't know what I put it in my top 10, but like currently I would probably say it's 2 or 3. Like I think Jellyfish, this, and Spice and Wolf are just like, they're going at it. They're just this one's over here pecking at Jellyfish, and Jellyfish's tentacles are hitting it, and the wolf comes in and bites him. Anyways, sorry, that's a joke. Yeah, highly recommend it. Apparently it's going for 2 cores, so I am pumped about that. Give it to me. What else do we got? We're almost done. Tonbo. Japanese title is Oi Tonbo. I didn't know that her name was actually Tonbo Oi. Maybe I missed that. I may have picked that up, and maybe I just completely missed it. But yeah, the title is her name. But yeah, this is on Amazon. That's weird. Amazon's back for the anime. I don't know. This seems like a fluke. I'm not even going to say that Amazon's getting back into anime, but that's a, hey, by the way, don't forget Amazon does that, so you got to go out of your way to get this one. If High Dive wasn't bad enough with its 2 shows, now we got Tonbo. Was it 3 shows? It was only 2 shows, right?
I don't know.
Whisper Me and...
I haven't been over there in a couple of days.
Jellyfish and Whisper Me and something else. It might just be those 2. Maybe Newgate's over there. No, I think Newgate's Crunchyroll. Anyways. It's hard to keep track of anymore. There's too many shows. OLM's the studio. It's based on a manga, drama, sports. And this one opens up with a guy named Kazuyoshi Igarashi. And he is... It seems to give an indication that he was a pro golfer. And it seems like he is kind of stressed out and he's looking to kind of get away from life and just kind of cool down. So he decides to take a job at a development center on a remote island, Hinoshima Island. And so when he arrives there, immediately they kind of welcome him in, bring him to the welcome center. He immediately gets the job. Like I think it was there for like an interview or something like that, but like immediately that, yeah, you got the job. So very quickly he meets a local girl that is in the town called Tonbo. And he sees her and she's there whacking this rug with this 3-iron. And he checks out the thing. Man, it looks a little worn down. At some point, she ends up taking Igarashi through these kind of woods off into this like outside remote location that's like on the edge of the waterline, like the ocean. And it is this massive golf course that they've built. I don't know for certain, but I'm assuming the golf course was either made for her father, her late father, or maybe they built it after they brought her into the island to take care of her after her late father passed away. But either way, she takes him off to this golf course, and that's where they start playing golf together. And immediately he discovers that Tonbo is very good at golf, but she's very special in a way because what we get from her backstory was that one day, her mother and father were going to go off to another country or something, or get on a flight to go somewhere where he was going to go to a tournament. And the father decided to leave behind his 3-iron because he's never been good at using the 3-iron. So he just sets it down the wall, and they go off on their travel. Well, they, of course, pass away. And so she grabs that one 3-iron, and it is the only thing that she ever remembers her family for. That's like her family heirloom. Like, she's never going to let it go. And she was quickly taken in by the Hinoshima island. Like, they were brought there by this guy that they call Grandpa. He brought her to that island where they basically the island raised her at that point. And again, they showed her where this little golf course is, or they made it. I'm not sure exactly. They show her this golf course, and she's been doing that, having fun while being raised on the island. The problem that she has is that the island doesn't have a high school. So once she reaches the age of going to high school, they send people off the island to go to high school, and then they can come back afterwards. So she's getting to that age. So that's her story. That's her setup. And very quickly, Igarashi watches her playing golf, and he's like, holy crap, she's really good. And that's for multiple things. One is because she's basically been playing on hard mode because all she's had is a 3-iron. It's a very specific type of golf club. And so she's basically learned how to do different types of shots with a 3-iron. She utilizes the wind, which is, being on the side of the surf is pretty heavy at times. She's utilizing the wind. She's knowing how to get out of like sand pits by hitting it a certain way. All this stuff. She's like absolutely incredible with her shots, despite the fact that she just got this one club. And so he'll kind of just play the golf with her. He gets excited about it. It eventually turns into kind of two different stories. One is, we find out that Igarashi haven't had a good time. Like he's all about professionalism when he used to play golf. His son at some point gave up baseball to become a golfer. So he treated his son like crap to get him to give up the idea of getting into golf. As he's playing with Tonbo, he constantly gets frustrated with how she's able to do these really, really successful shots, even though it doesn't make any sense how she's doing it. But then he's kind of figuring it out. She gets scared because he always has this mean look. Every time she does like something crazy, he'll get this mean look on his face. And she's like, you got the face again, Igarashi. No, she calls him Iga. I think she calls it Iga or something like that. But anyways, his story is basically his regrets of his life, obviously seeming that he didn't treat his family right, or at least his son. I'm gonna assume that something happened with one of the tournaments. Probably got. It looks like he lost his license at some point. And through Tonbo, he's essentially learning to like golf for the fun of it. Like Tonbo, he claims, Tonbo, you're doing it wrong. You're not playing golf. And it's really because it seems like he doesn't think that you're supposed to have fun playing golf. You have to play it professionally. So he's already kind of shifting into this idea that he wants to get her off this island so she can play professionally and play real golf where it's not fun. Whereas, again, Tonbo is all about her story about her loss of her family, her new family being this island, the fact that she claims that she will never leave the island. They're like, we got to go to high school. I'm never leaving the island. It seems like she fears leaving the island. I'm going to assume it's probably something to do with it. This is the place that she found happiness, and she never wants to leave back to a place where she had sadness. But she loves the sport. Not the sport, but she loves just hitting the balls. I like it. I think a good thing that it kind of encompasses it is at some point, Igarashi says, well, if you hit that ball and it didn't make it to the green, say the wind didn't take it the direction you wanted it to, and it fell off in the water, what would you do? Oh, I would just hit the ball again. And he's just like trying to strategize, like, what would you do? Like, well, yeah, you'd probably try to figure out why your wind was off, or maybe you need to give it more of an angle shot, or maybe lift it up higher, or maybe follow through more, or something like that. She's like, oh, I'll just hit it again. Just keep hitting until it works, figure out how it works. She's all about feel, where he's all about like strategy and stuff like that. So I'm assuming because of this kind of startup here, where we have basically we've set up the two characters, what they're going through. My assumptions where the story is going to go from here is, yeah, essentially the teacher and the master and the student, and it be sort of this conflict between, again, the math, the strategy, all that stuff, and professionalism versus fun and feels and experience kind of thing. So, yeah. So far, thoughts on it. So far, very, very surprised with this one. Not that I had like a negative expectation for the show, but I'm not a golf person. I'm not a golf person, and as we've kind of mentioned several times before, with sports shows, I think Chris agrees with me. I think we both kind of mentioned this. With sports shows, I need it to be more about the characters in the sports. I'm fine with the sport, but I need the characters there. Like, I need to have the story to be about the characters, not constantly talking about the sport. And so far, it's doing perfectly fine with the characters. I do find Igarashi to be not too deep so far. Like, I'm not super intrigued by his character, but he's got just enough of that, like, I don't know, gruffy old fart, I'm not happy with life mentality that I think Tonbo just is perfect to bounce off of. It does have that kind of chemistry of the grumpy old fart and the kid that just want to have fun, constantly just going back and forth between the two of them. Like I said, what would you do if you missed? Do it again. That's all she cares about. Tonbo is literally carrying it because she's just too much fun. She is absolute innocent fun, and she just carries most of the heavy nature that Igarashi has. Because I think if Tonbo wasn't the nature that she was, Igarashi would make it way too heavy. Like, he would just absolutely drag the show down. So yeah, like I said, I'm really liking it so far. It's got a nice balance in there where I don't feel like it's too heavy on the golf aspects. I think it does well enough to simply explain a lot of the golf elements that I would understand it. I mean, I'm not completely clueless about golf, but I'm not an expert either. But I think it's doing well enough to kind of explain each of the strokes, different way of practicing. And I do like so far, like I said, to go to the whole idea of where I think the story's going to go, how Igarashi is sort of trying to slowly figure out what makes her tick, how she's figured out the shots that she's figured out, and sort of mold her into a better player. And yes, get her to put down the 3-iron, because there's obviously going to be a lot of times where the 3-iron, she's figured out how to use it to get different shots, but he's obviously going to go, but you would do better with this club. But he can't get her to put down a 3-iron, so he's got to figure out how to, like, trick her into trying a different club, and then she realized, okay, that club works really well, so now she's walking around dual wielding because now she has 2 clubs. She's literally walking around with, like, them crossed on her back.
Which club did he get her to try?
I forgot the name of it already. You got enough out of me by remembering the 3-iron. Anyways,
probably a wood.
It's one of the middle ones, like when you're in midfield kind of area. Because she was having difficulty getting it right up onto the plane or whatever. But yeah, I'm loving it. I think the characters are fantastic. Igarashi and Tonbo's personality and their chemistry just absolutely sells it. The Tombo's father is a little grunt butt, but he's totally a teddy bear. It's got everything going for it. My only fears is how much I'm loving it as them together on Hinoshima Island. My fears is it going the route of literally Igarashi talking her into going to the main island, and they go to competitions, and it just all comes about competitions, because I don't know if it will be the same once it leaves the island, because I think that rural area, the island, them just playing golf together, having fun, and Tonbo really showing her what the joys are of golfing, I think that's where it's at. So I'm afraid of it actually getting to the main island, because it's probably going to turn into one of those things where everybody makes fun of Tonbo because she's a country bumpkin and she's got these weird ways of playing, but she's going to show them because she has these really weird shots and everybody goes Sugoi. I don't know. Like, my only negative is that I'm assuming it could go bad. I'm sorry. It's a great show. I like it. I'm really enjoying it. Would I recommend going out and getting an Amazon account for it? That's a hard sell. That's a real hard sell. Unless I would probably say wait until it concludes its run, which I don't know if we have an episode count yet. Let it finish its run and then sign up and binge. Because I think it would probably... I ended up having to binge, I think, 3 episodes, maybe 2 episodes. And I was perfectly fine with that. It was like, it could possibly be a very good binge show. It's got the super good feels and everything, so. It's got a good, unique style to it, too. I'm enjoying it a lot. Unnamed Memory, I'm not going to talk too much about this. I was kind of hyped coming into it, and I stopped very quickly. My quick and dirty about Unnamed Memory. Unnamed Memory, Crunchyroll, 12 episodes, ENGI, light novel, adventure, fantasy, romance. To give a gist of the idea here, you essentially have the Prince of Pharsis. When he was younger, he and his father were cursed by the Witch of Silence. The curse that you end up finding out later on through this Witch of Azure is that he can make a baby with a woman, but the curse is not necessarily a curse, it's actually a blessing, but they call it a curse. It's a blessing where it essentially causes the child, as the woman is pregnant with the child, it will draw energy and mana from the mother to create protections for the child. And since it's absorbing such a great amount of force to protect the child, the infant, it will kill the mother. So essentially his seed will kill any woman. So he's trying, and the whole point there is that the Witch of Silence is cursing their bloodline because she wants the bloodline to end with them. You will never bear heir. You will never have a child. Your bloodline of this royalty will end now. So in searching for this Prince Oscar, he's searching for a cure for this curse or blessing. And so he's seeking out the help of the Witch of Azure Moon. So he goes to this tower. The tower is kind of this whole idea where people will go to the tower. They will do the trials of the tower. If they can reach the top and meet the witch, she will grant a wish. So he goes to the top and basically asks her to cure his curse. So they talk for a little bit. She looks into the curse. Again, describes it as a blessing that's probably killing the mother by drawing energy to protect the child. So she's like, she explains the systems of curses and blesses. She says there's way too many layers to it. It's better off that you just find somebody that can handle the blessing.
And offers to help find someone.
Yeah, so she brings out this little thing and says, I'll look around here, try to find somebody that you can get with. There's a 7-year-old. This person's probably a little bit too young, but you might be able to wait until they get older. Eventually, Oscar's like, what about you? Yeah, I would probably withstand it. Yeah, I could probably withstand it. All right, you become my bride. Marry me. Become my queen or whatever. And she's like, that's not a good thing. People don't like witches. I can't do that. All this kind of yada, yada, yada. So he ends up talking her into coming back to the kingdom, trying to figure out a way to remove the curse. At the same time, he's using an excuse because he wants to convince her to marry him because he's pretty much already set on her. So they go back to the kingdom. Very quickly, they get wrapped up in this whole disturbance in the swamp nearby. They go out there to investigate. They end up finding out that there's this past war that happened where they summoned up this monster, and she had to seal it away. But now she's got enough energy, she can probably kill it. So she releases it and kills it. And it ends up getting really mortally wounded. Has to age herself a little bit in order to recover this mortal wound. And I don't know if I watched much in the next episode or not.
Flower Witch. There was another witch that he met after that.
Go ahead.
And then she was infiltrating his dreams, kind of succubus like. Then the Azure Moon Witch had to go into the dream, made him kill her, which she made him dream that he was making love to her and as a gift. It was all kind of confusing. Anyway, Azure Moon said made him kill her. I mean, Azure Moon. So as some kind of cruel thing, and he was mad about that. Don't ever make me do that again. And then the next episode, God, what is it that happened in that one? Oh, the church of another or some other country. There was some mages that have taken over that country, and they sent a representative, and he set a assassin to go and kill him, and and then they revealed one of the maids. So yeah, interesting.
They revealed the maid. There's
there's a maid. There's a thing going on with the maid.
They ripped off her clothes or something.
Something like that.
Well, I forgot that you watched it. What's your thoughts? I'm not going to be too positive, so make sure to ramp it up. And it's nothing against the story, by the way. I'm not saying anything against the story.
I'm generally okay with it. I'm not. It's fine. I do like the characters. I think that they are decent. I just find the pacing to be a bit slow for me. But otherwise, I mean, I don't have a problem with the story. I don't have a problem with the characters. I just find it a little bit slow. I kind of wish that it would get to something that's a bit more meaty than it has revealed so far. That's about where I'm at right now. Just about mid of the road.
Which is surprising that you're thinking it's too slow, because from my understanding and what I've investigated, it's skipping a lot of stuff. So first episode, loved it. I thought the first episode was just pure gold. And I even liked the second episode. I think it was a great setup. I like Oscar. He's a go-getter. He's like, I like you. Come home with me. He's like, he's not afraid of this girl. He's just like, let's just do this. He's a very strong character. I mean, yes, technically he has like this relic sword that's like super OP, but he's skilled in himself. Like, he's soloing this tower. Again, he's confident. Literally says to Nasha, this witch of Azure, be my bride. I'm going to win you over. All this kind of stuff. And I like their chemistry. I think their chemistry itself is fantastic, because you have Tanasha's literally like, look, I turned down your grandpa. I'm not gonna get with you. She's got a little bit of a snarkiness to herself. She's got confidence in herself as well. She's been around for a long time. The 2 episodes I've seen, doing well enough, or 2.5 episodes I watched, they're doing well enough, kind of having her showing that she's been around for a long time. She's very skilled. She's very knowledgeable. She's very smart. And again, I like the two of them, the kind of playoff they have of each other. It was good chemistry. And additionally, mostly in that first episode, I loved the mechanics of the magic itself, like getting into the curses versus a blessing, how it's like this thing that you string together, and it's all in how you execute it, that you can create something that will even undo it. And there's even a case where you can create something you can't even undo yourself. Like, it can basically get to a point where it's literally something you can't even remove. And then, yes, shifting it into a blessing, and how that blessing can be a curse in a sense, because it can literally kill anybody by drawing too much energy. The mechanics was cool. The problem I ran into is that in between episodes, I got some rumors about them skipping a lot. And that made me concerned.
I was going to say that would make sense, since she randomly popped up, I want to say in either the last episode or this episode, randomly popped up and said that 6 months had already passed, and I'm like, nothing's happened.
Yeah. Really? But no, I got whispers of it, and a lot of people saying that it kind of it feels off. And I think when I went and checked the manga, I went and checked the manga first, and this was before this is right after I watched episode 2. I checked the manga, and I'm like, okay, where's episode 2? I'm flipping. Where's the episode 2? Like, I'm trying to find the swamp with the dragon and the guy from the past war showing up and them summoning the dragon, her releasing the monster in front of her thingamajiggy and her fighting it. Where's this at? I'm going chapter. I'm not finding this. How much did they skip? Holy crap. And then I'm hearing people talk about, like, it feels weird going into episode 3 because it suddenly feels like they're being a lot more chummy with each other. And I snoop into episode 3 and I'm like, yeah, it feels like the two of them have been in love for, like, decades. What is the deal here? Like, they feel like they're just... Tanasha suddenly is, like, sitting on his lap, and she's, like, totally being chummy with... This feels off. Stop. Like, I literally just stopped. I have heard too much good things about this story, and I'm already seeing too many signs that this adaptation is butchering it. I'm done. Like, I just don't want it to sour the story for me. So I literally just barely getting to episode 3, I stopped. And that's, I know that there was a couple of people that were excited that I was actually I was thinking about covering it on a weekly basis because I liked the setup. I thought episode 1 was great. And yes, the episode 1 was, at least based on the manga, I was flipping through the manga, looked like it was very faithful. But the moment that I seen that it wasn't even capturing with the manga, and I was assuming the manga probably cut stuff from the light novel. So if it's not even covering what's in the manga, I'm like... Yeah, unless the manga is, like, super original, which I haven't seen anything saying otherwise, I don't want it to sour it. I've heard too much positivity around it. Apparently, like, even the ReZero creator's, like, obsessed with the story. Like, he's live tweeting it. I wonder if he's saying anything about the skip content. Probably not. He's probably not mentioning that. Yeah, I don't know. Unless somebody says, look, it kind of corrects course at some point. I just heard too much positivity that I'm like, I don't know if I want to ruin it. I don't know. There was another show like that here recently that was the case. Like, somebody was really hyping up the source material, and I'm like, at some point, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to keep watching this. Like, it just does not look like they're doing this justice at all because it's kind of ruining it. But that's where I'm sitting. I don't think I'm going to continue watching it. And like I said, it's nothing to do with Unnamed Memory as a story, because I'm liking what I'm seeing already. But I don't think this is the way to experience it, and I'm afraid of ruining that story by watching this. Especially if it's just going to cut volume, and just jump to the end or something like that. I don't know what they're planning on doing with it, but yeah, that's where I'm sitting with it. I was thinking about watching it up to the point where this controversial moment happens, but I think it already happened, but they technically skipped it, so I don't know. Wait, anything else?
I don't remember any controversial moments, so
no, I'm saying that I think they said that it was cut.
I'm gonna assume so.
So you wouldn't technically,
exactly.
unless you know the source material.
I was acknowledging.
Did you watch the? Huh? Is there an audiobook for it?
Oh, I haven't gotten.
I wonder if I'll check for that. I ain't got time at the moment, but eventually, I think I would. I think I might eventually snoop the light novel, and that's why I'm really against continuing watching it, which sucks. It sucks. I heard a lot of good hype out of it. We're almost done. The Fable, that show happened. This one is Tezuka Productions, based on a manga, action, comedy, drama, romance, and this one opens up with, you guessed it, The Fable. A very well-known assassin, which I think his real name, or at least his code name or something, is Akira Sato, the Fable. Fable is like this really well-known assassin. At some point after doing a job, he and his sidekick go back to the boss. They eat some fish together over a campfire, and then the boss tells him, hey, I need you to lay low. I want you to go lay low for a while. I don't want you killing anybody. You're just going to go undercover and just live your life. Here's a bag, a suitcase or whatever, full of all the money you've made so far. It's a load of cash. Go get your identities and just be normal. But if I ever catch you killing anybody, I'm going to come kill you. And so now this guy that has basically lived his entire life killing people, that's his specialty, that's all he does, now he's got to just be normal, which is, as the synopsis joked about, the toughest job he's ever done. And what precedes this is, I don't even know if I did 2 episodes of this. But basically precedes this is you basically have all these little joke scenarios where, they're preparing to go leave. So he's pulling different guns and putting different guns in different weird locations in his apartment, and they're talking about their different identities they have, and the birthday that they have on their new ID, and they travel for a little bit, and they go to some rest stop where he spots some guys that are breaking into cars, and watches them for a little bit until they see him, and they come over to attack him, so he chops him in the neck, and the girl comes out and goes, "You didn't kill him, did you? Oh my gosh, the boss is going to kill us if you killed him. Let's get the hell out of here." And then they go off to do some job where he has to change his voice or his dialect to give himself a dialect, so he sounds like he's from a different location. That's about all I've watched so far. I'm not going to say, this is, again, comedy subjective. I'm going to say this is probably a really good show. Like, I don't see that there's anything wrong with the show in general. It's just because it's a comedy, and the fact that I didn't laugh a single time in the first episode. I don't know that I watched 2 episodes. I'm guessing I only watched 1 episode. Because I didn't laugh a single time at what I've watched, I'm just like, this is not for me. So I just stopped watching. But what you're essentially getting here is sort of like it's the contrast thing. It's this guy's a lethal killer, and he's killed so much, he has, like, it seems like no emotions, but he's actually kind of a dork. And there's that contrast of him doing really stupid, goofy things, while at the same time, he's actually a killer. So it's that whole contrast thing. It didn't work for me. Like I said, I didn't laugh a single time, and usually when it comes to a comedy series, that's a cutoff point. I don't know, it has drama and romance. I didn't sense any of that, so maybe it turns into a drama or romance at some point. But if that sounds interesting, definitely check it out. I'm sure it's hilarious, but just didn't work for me. Again, comedy is subjective. Rinkai? Did you watch Rinkai? Mm-mm. I barely watched any of Rinkai. It was been a while since I watched this too. It's essentially about a group of girls that make a club. They make like a special club where they come together to watch their favorite female bicyclist. So there's like this I think it was the sport was shut down, and then these new women bicyclists have basically re-sparked it up. It's getting more popular now. And so these girls are like super massive fans of these, like, I think it was only 2 or maybe 3 bicyclists. And so they watch all their games. They finally go to one of their actual competitions, go watch them in person. And then as they're kind of celebrating after the actual race itself, they're talking about possibly becoming bicyclists. And then one of the bicyclists there that's like they're super fans of ends up overhearing them and giving them a little bit of a nudge. And they're super excited because they want the next generation of girls to come in and play and to be a part of this bicycling. But yeah, after that, it's like everybody except for the main character, which I think is Izumi. All the group decide, yeah, we want to become bicyclists. Let's do it. So they're all training while she's trying to figure out if she wants to do that. The difficulty that she's facing is that she's unsure if she wants to go like to college or if she wants to do that. So she's kind of stuck on this kind of crossroads, like which path do I want to take in my life? And it kind of ultimately comes into her like writing a letter to the cyclist that she's really a big fan of. The cyclist comes back and just says, "Do you like Takashi?" That was one thing I liked. Like, she literally writes this letter, "Hey, I'm a big fan. What do you think I should do? Should I become a bicyclist?" And then she like replies back. She's like excited. Oh, she sent me a reply. "Do you like Takashi?" There's a reason for it, which is, yes, she ends up going, "What? That's weird." And then she goes to, yes, this Takashi shop that she always drops by on a regular basis, where this old granny runs the place and she talks to her on a regular basis. She goes there to talk to the granny, and then she decides that she's going to do it. And then, the girl that she's a big fan of walks out, and she knows the old lady. And then, we come to find out the old lady actually has like a training shop in the back of her Takashi shop that's like high-tech training for bicycle racing and stuff like that. They have like this whole like machinery set up where you can get on it, and it has like forces that presses up against you, and you can pedal it and it'll work you out or show your strength in going uphill or downhill, all that kind of crap. But yeah, then they go into this training place for cycling, and then I'm guessing this girl that they run into is Izumi's like rival. My thoughts. My thoughts. First of all, visually it's okay. The bicycling is god awful CGI. Ugh, nasty looking CGI. Probably some of the worst CGI this season. It just terrible. CGI butts. That was a very interesting thing that I've seen at some point. But other than that, it's fine visually. It's just not really trying anything, but it's serviceable. I think my biggest problem and the reason why I didn't really get very far in the show is I got nothing. Like, I don't care about the characters. Their chemistry's not working. I think the only character that's really getting much attention is really just Izumi. And it just seemed like a very basic coming of age story. Like, girl kind of trying to find what path she wants to take in her life and follow her dreams or follow the comfortable future kind of thing is where she's kind of really struggling with. And then eventually deciding that she wants to take the leap of faith and go join her friends and go off and do bicycling. When it came to the other characters, I'm like, okay, they were very quick. They were like, oh, yeah, let's do it. All right, cool, let's do it. And they're all like training in their own separate ways. Like, you have the rich girl that she's able to afford to do all this training. You have the other girl who's just going off and bicycling with the others. They all have their own method in which they're trying to push themselves, but they're all just like randomly out of nowhere. Yeah, let's all just give up everything and become bicycling. Yeah. So yeah, it's very kind of like low end for me for a type of show. Like, nothing really is grabbing me, and I don't really think it has much potential to do much than maybe, I don't know, advertise something. I think they had logos somewhere. But yeah, that's Rinkai. Not really anything to write home about. Last show. I think it's our last show. Did you watch Shiny Colors? Because I didn't get a chance to watch that one.
I just seen it for the first time today.
So what did you think of it?
I didn't watch it.
Oh, you just seen it.
You just seen it pop up
on
the
my label.
feed. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think our last show is Oblivion Battery. Hope we don't miss something again. I think our last show is Oblivion Battery. We're actually going pretty quick with this recording. And I think it's because there's a lot of shows in this list that I'm like not talking for very long for because they're just kind of quick chops. Like Oblivion Battery. Pokuyaku Battery. This one's streaming on Crunchyroll, running for 12 episodes, done by Studio Mappa. Their show per season they got now going on. Genres are comedy, sports. And this one opens up with Haruka and Kei. And they are what they call a battery, which is a pitcher-catcher combination. And they are the best battery ever. Like, they open up the show talking about how these two literally end careers. They're so good. Like, Haruka just is so fast, and the two of them work so well together that they will just strike out anybody. Yeah. Cut forward, Kei got an injury. I don't think that they ever explain what happened, but he injured his head, and he gets amnesia. So it cuts to Haruka walking into the hospital, and Kei's sitting there on the bed, and he's like, who are you?
Carcoon ended his career.
He got his brain elsewhere. Cut forward, and they basically have joined a new school. This school has no basketball or no baseball club because Kei has no interest in getting back to baseball. He's like, man, everybody keeps talking about this baseball. I don't care about it. It looks dumb. And Haruka is like, dude, we trained our entire lives. We were perfect together. Let's go baseball. And Kei's just like, I don't want to. Nipple hairs. And then eventually they run into some guy named Taro who just,
That was so random.
They ran into some guy named Taro who really quickly recognized them as like, holy crap, it's Kei and Haruka, the best battery ever. And Kei's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no clue what you're talking about. Nipple hairs. That's his own going joke, by the way. He does it like literally 5 times an episode. I'm exaggerating.
So you wanted to join the nipple hair club?
No, I really don't.
Obviously you do.
But anyways, I don't remember exactly what happened. Eventually, Haruka, I think they decided to just build up the baseball club again, and Haruka somehow manages to talk Kei into going out there, and Taro decides to become the catcher for Haruka. But then really quickly realizes that Haruka isn't pitching like he used to. Like these are some really slow balls. Like, what's the deal? And it seems like it seems to insinuate that Haruka can't throw at his highest potential unless it's K. Like, K is not really skilled anyway as a catcher. It's just that because he's more comfortable with K, they've always played together, he can't throw his best unless it's K. So K eventually gets really frustrated, goes out there and decides to catch the ball, and sure enough, perfect. And then, like, these other two guys, Aoi and Sunpei, who is these, again, like I mentioned earlier, they're past baseball players that gave up the sport because they got wrecked by Haruka and Kei so much. They gave up their entire careers as baseball players because of it. They show up, they play for a little bit, don't want to join, they talk about joining, nipple hairs, that's the show. Oh yeah, and tons of Dragon Ball references because why not? They got to do that. They have to do the creator joke. They have to do him going Super Saiyan behind his mom because his mom basically makes a comment about them being virgin or something like that. Anyways. Yeah, eventually they have this other school challenge them to a game. Then for some reason, randomly out of nowhere, they get a bunch of extra players in their baseball team. I like how they get a challenge to play baseball. And then it cuts over and suddenly they have a bunch of randos that are out in the field. Because my immediate thought goes, okay, so you have a pitcher, you have a catcher. Taro, I guess, can be first base. Aoi can be second base. Sunpei can be third base. What about the outfielders? Oh, suddenly random characters appear. They suddenly, I guess, got other members in their club. I think they showed them at some point, but yeah.
Shortstop.
Yeah, shortstop. Yeah.
Can't go without shortstop.
Yeah. Unless you just never have a ball get hit. Actually, I think you have to have a certain amount of players, don't you? I think you can short one player.
I think that you got pretty much what it was. There's about eight players or so. Maybe 10 because you have to have backups.
Yeah, what kind of precedes this is just a lot of like back and forth between a lot of people bringing up the fact that this is the dream team, Haruka and Kei. There's a couple of whispers here and there about Aoi and Sunpei's ability, but it's mostly about people being like super panicked to see Haruka at the batting cage or on the pitcher's mound. It gets a little bit eventually later on to where at some point Kei gets a hit right in the face with the baseball. Suddenly he's fearful of him being there. And which means the whole entire game falls apart. But for the most part, it's just really people like panicking because they see them. Like they have this whole entire game was literally the coach of the other team screaming and panicking and looking desperate about every single situation that involves Haruka and Kei. At the same time, this gets into my struggle here. The series Oblivion Battery is sort of like it's obviously a comedy baseball series that is definitely not taking itself seriously. I mean, besides like the opening segment where it shows how all these baseball players, their dreams are shattered because these two are so good, it quickly turns into the shenanigans of Kei, which is, again, nipple hairs. And
I think you've done that like...
I'm going to do it just as many times as you've done it so far in the first episode.
I know what that is. Isn't it two fingers?
I'm not doing that.
I thought that's what you were
doing this.
Okay, gotcha.
The problem that I see with the series is it seems like it's a show that's trying to be carried by Miyano, the Seiyu for Kei. For those who don't know who he is, Zombieland Saga. He is the producer. Zombieland Saga, he literally carries that show. He is that character. He makes that character. Even with Mendo, with Urasa Yatsura, great character. Nails that character. At least the new one, anyways. I don't think he was voicing the old one. He is somebody of a character. Like, that Seiyu is a character. And I almost feel like they're trying to take that personality and carry this show with that. The problem is it's based on a manga. This is an original. Zombieland Saga is an original, so you can make him be the star. And he'll do it. If you give it to him, he's probably going to do it. It doesn't work here because I feel like Kei is trying to be a central comedy character in a source material that can't support his voicing and his roles. So it just basically turns into it just being he's obnoxious with the same stupid joke over and over again because this writer didn't really have anything else in that manga that was funny, and somebody thinks it's funny, so we're going to have him do the nipple hair thing over and over again. Which, again, I'm exaggerating, but that's mostly what it is. Kei is a character, and I think the Seiyu does a great job with it. It's just I don't think the writer is that funny for the most part. Like, it almost feels like they're trying to turn this into a full-on comedy just because they got that Seiyu playing as Kei. Haruka's not there. Haruka is the most plain, unresponsive character ever. So it almost feels like Kei is like 1,000 out of 10, and Haruka is a 0 out of 10, like in energy. And they just don't really bounce off each other. Taro is just basically the plain, like, I guess, straight man character who's reacting to the shenanigans of Haruka and Kei, which, again, Haruka is nothing. And then you have Aoi and Sunpei are just almost non-existent when it comes to comedy. They'll react every now and then in a frustrated manner, or they'll get angry or just kind of go, what are you doing that for? But they're not doing anything for the comedy. So it's literally just Kei carrying it, and he can't because the writer is not that funny. The Seiyu's trying really hard with that character, it just doesn't work. So that's like, it just, through on through, it's just not working for me. Again, comedy subjective, again, could be hilarious to a lot of people, other people, nipple hairs, I'll be like that funny. It might be hilarious for somebody, but at the same time, it does not work. And there was one time the nipple hair thing was funny, and that was because he did the nipple hair when this guy went up to bat, and the guy got really mad about it. And then on the stand, Haruka did the whole, because he laughed because Haruka thinks it's funny. That was like the one time it worked, and that was really because how Haruka responded to it. It was like this moment of, no, it was hilarious. And then he gets mad because the guy made fun of it. That was one time and it wasn't the nipple joke thing. It was just the fact that the response to it. But anyways. It looks good, but it's MAPPA. It's gonna look good. I mean, this isn't Attack on Titan or anything like that, but for a baseball show, it looks really, really good. But the baseball isn't really the focus, at least what I've seen so far. Again, besides the game they did play, but it doesn't seem like they even cared about the game because it really quickly kind of resolved. It was like, well, this happened, so the rest of the game they lost. Okay. I guess it's a good thing that I didn't invest it because it didn't seem like they wanted to show me the whole game. So it's not like, I can't think of that one baseball game, the show that I really, really liked. Anyways. There you go. That's Oblivion Battery.
You did nipple hairs about 3 or 11 times, and I did it about 3 times.
Did you do it?
No.
You said it, but you didn't do it.
Yeah. I said nipple hair 3 times. Now I've done it 4 times.
Do it at least once.
I did 4 times.
No, you have to do the pose.
I think I did do it earlier.
No, you didn't.
I'm pretty sure.
I think you did kind of like this thing, but not like... You got to get up there with it. Because you see, these are the hairs.
I got you.
And they have to be coming off the nipple. Anyways. Did we miss anything? I think we did everything. Let me run through the list one more time so we don't get in trouble. I would hate to... What about... Like I said, I didn't get a chance to get the Shining Color. I don't think I will. Did not watch Token Rambu no Show. You didn't watch Magic High yet, did you? Regular Magic High? I didn't either.
I should be fine now that I don't feel so pressured, so I should be able to...
I just gotta wait until all 3 impressions get done, and then I can just say, I'm good now.
Well, now I'll have time to actually just kind of keep up with stuff and slowly work in new shows. So
yeah, I need to do a breakdown and force myself. These are the shows you're watching, Andrew. Stop, because I had a couple times this last week where I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta go watch that. No, Andrew, this is one of the ones you're dropping. Remember, you were supposed to drop this show. It sucks when you drop shows that you're like, yeah, I was kind of interested in that, but it's just too many, dude. It's too many. He did all those ones. We're not watching iPre. Sorry, not watching iPre. What else? Didn't watch Shinko Lion. Changed the world. So that's a no. Vampire Dormitory I did not watch. Don't plan on watching it. Did not watch Tadaima Okari. Probably not watching it. What else? Yeah, a lot of people asking Black Butler. Never started Black Butler, and I don't know. One of these days I'll probably watch it, but I've had no desire to go watch that. So I'm guessing you're not watching Demon King Academy yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to go back and watch the whole second season to do that one. So
I watched the first episode of Boku no Hero Academia season 7. Yes, we're on season 7 now. First episode was really good. I have honestly not been a big fan of the series for a long time. I think since probably season 3. I've been falling off on this show a lot, but I will admit the first episode of the 7th season was really good, and it was mainly because America showed up. Literally,
is that the
Stars and Stripe?
Yeah,
I think her name is.
There was some new character that looked like an All Might, but
she's like the Kohai. Like, she was inspired by him and has always been looking up to him, trained under him and everything. And yeah, suddenly out of nowhere, they're like literally with this whole thing going on with pure devastation in Japan. Yeah, she literally just jumps on a bunch of like stealth bombers and they just fly over there. She's like, "Hey guys, want to take me over there?" Like, the boss won't like it. I don't care. We're going over there. So she just goes over there. Her quirk was interesting. It seems to imply that her quirk is sort of like she can establish rules. So she'll say, "This area has no oxygen in it," and suddenly it's vacuum. You're in a vacuum. Or if said name moves from this spot, their heart will stop moving. But it does seem like they're trying to, while they're fighting, he's trying to figure out what the limitations of it is. So it was a cool little fight. Like, the entire first episode was, well, not the entire first episode. The first part of it was really kind of them talking about how, yeah, the whole point of this was to bait her. Like, they wanted her to come there. They want her abilities. And so they essentially won because now she's showing up. There was also a little bit on the side talking about them sort of trying to drum up a lot of the, they had a name for them. There was a certain name that they gave to people that had quirks that made their bodies not like human, like the lizard guy looking guy. It was a name for it. I forget what it's called, but they're trying to get them to all fall under the lizard guy. So, but other than that, it was mostly just her. And yeah, I actually really liked that fight. I thought it was kind of cool. Now, granted, per the usual My Hero Academia, I know she's gonna lose. Like, there's no way she's going to win. I guess there's a possibility she'll capture him, and then he'll get away later on, but she still won in the end. But no, I don't. It's one of those difficulties where it's like, it's been going on this long. It's not like this girl's gonna win against him, but it's still cool. It's still a cool fight. So that's kind of the difficulty that a story like this faces when you've drummed up something so much as a character being literally the main character's rival that he's trying to save. Nobody's going to take down Shigaraki, whatever his name is, except for him. So, but yeah, good first episode. We'll see what goes from there. Anything else? Shoot, Demon Slayer is still not out. That's still another 5 days for the first episode that comes out. That's weird. That's such a late starter. I mean, is it only gonna be like an 8 episode season? They don't have an episode count. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Anything else? Skim. Dungeon Meshi, still doing really good. The episode 17 was incredible. It kind of chilled back out with the episode 18, but it's been really good. I like that series. I haven't got it caught up on Nudise Yatsura yet. I really badly need to, because what I've watched of the second season has been really good. Tsukimichi, I'm way behind on too. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm still in the first core.
Tsukimichi, yeah.
I'm still in the first core. So those three the only one that I've caught up on is Dungeon Meshi. The other two I'm super behind. What else? Is that it? We covered Grimm's Notes. I'm just about ready to wrap up Sandland. That's it. When is the Oni Girl supposed to come out?
What?
My Oni Girl. That is 17 days. That's going to be a Netflix movie. The Oni Girl. I'm super excited for that one. Anyways, that's it. that's spring 2024 anime season. As usual, probably next week will be our music podcast, unless I get tied up this week and don't get a chance to get put together. Then we'll just do a discussional. But yeah, good stuff. Looking forward to getting to dive in that stuff, because I've been mostly skipping all the intros and outros because I just am trying to consume everything for the first impressions and everything. So it'll be nice to actually go through them and see what's cooking, as they say. So I'm excited for that. I think I want to say Link Tosite is doing My Hero Academia's OP.
Oh,
so that's cool. That was actually a good little surprise there. But yeah, I think there's a couple of them that I kind of peaked a little bit and I really liked them. So I'll be excited to kind of go through those and figure that out. But we'll see. Until then, that's a wrap. Hope you guys enjoyed this run through of the spring 2024 anime season. Hope you guys will stick around as we eventually will review the season in 6 weeks. Because we're halfway through the season at this point. But them's the break as they... What is summer? Are we up to 60 in summer yet? If they keep doing these 60 show seasons, we're going to keep doing this. 3, 6, 9, 12...
Did you tell everybody
18,
about you putting your life and limb on
23
in danger for your preview or whatever? Your Mashuko Mondays?
15, oh my gosh, why am my brain's not calculating? That's 45, so we're already at 50. No, 45. Yeah, we're at 50 already in summer. Yay! Yay! My life on lighting for Mashuko Monday?
Yeah. You were fighting hard with that wasp for your
No, I swallowed a wasp. It's already gone down. I guess I can't even show it off. It still feels like super numb though. Yeah, anyways, that's spring. Hope you guys enjoyed this as always. Again, we're at talkspirit.com. It's where all of our social media links, ways to get a hold of us, Discord, ways to support us through Patreon, whatnot. Greatly appreciate you guys for supporting us. And until next time, y'all take care.
Os.